Mario time?
It's pizza time. No, it is Mario time. It's video game time.
You said pizza time. Now you have my other interests.
Well,
go on.
You and Matt Frank both, I swear to God, it's like all you have to do is just mention food around you guys, and you're just like, I'm hungry now.
I'm licking my lips already.
I would like that thing. I am going to get that thing. You can't stop me from getting that thing. No, it's video game time because it is time for another episode of the Rage Select Video Game Podcast. It doesn't actually say video game in there. It's just the Rage Select Podcast.
Yes.
We can actually make this podcast into whatever we want to.
We could.
Jeff, have way more interest in just video games.
There used to be the Don Matrick one.
Yes.
Don Matrick Memorial
That's
Podcast.
correct, Michael. Yeah. Actually, let's not go crazy here. I don't have that many other interests besides video games.
That's fair,
anime. Well, we never talk about that. Or like DC Comics. We don't talk about that. But no DC this week. We DC'd it up last week.
We did.
And it was great. And now we have a whole nother. It doesn't. This week, because they finally did the Nintendo Direct and Gamescom happened, and then like next week, it is the Ubisoft Direct Part 2. I was just thinking about how part of me is like, I don't have to struggle for news anymore. There's always news every week, and then I'm like, no, there's just so much news every week.
News.
I miss having like a 12-minute conversation about a Bloodborne statue. Instead of having to just ramrod through all these things, but
some of this stuff just sort of happened randomly, dude.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
fuck, guys.
But that doesn't matter. We're gonna ram all the rods. All the rods will be rammed. But before we ram any rods, last week I watched something.
What'd you watch?
It was most excellent, my friend.
Yes. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I didn't talk about that in any other videos.
Well, it happened after we recorded last week. We recorded on Thursday. It came out on Friday. So,
oh yeah,
Bill and Ted Face the Music. After years and years of speculation, Bill and Ted Face the Music finally came out on streaming and in theaters. And why would you ever go to a theater when you could watch it at home on your
that's true
new 50-inch TV that works?
Kind of,
sort of. That I might have to take back, son of a bitches. But yes, Bill and Ted Face the Music finally came out, and we both watched it, right?
We did. I did. Yeah,
it was quite excellent.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. I cried at the end. I don't know, like it just sort of happened. I wasn't expecting to, and I just started tearing up real bad.
Yeah,
because I was like, this is just so fucking optimistic in the middle of this insane shit show of a year that I just needed this movie.
Yeah, I feel like every movie, that they could get away with. This has been a really weird year for movies, obviously, because all the summer shit is gone. But like any movie now that at the end is like, and then all of humanity came together in joyous celebration. I'm just like, yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds amazing, guys. Oh God.
It was actually pretty cool though, because it's like, okay, so Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was about two high school age stoners gathering up a bunch of historical figures, and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was like a weird. Introspective
supernatural thing.
Yeah, like it just went in this crazy ass direction of like meta weirdness.
They're like heaven and hell. Like it's not. There's nothing to do with time travel. That entire story, really.
Yeah. And then this movie is both of those things.
Yes, with a third little option on top.
Yeah,
a family.
There were a few parts that I thought were, for the most part, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm sure that I'll go back in a few years and watch it, just be like, man, this movie was really good. There were a few things that I thought were just a little off, but
I think that's purely because it's been so long.
Yeah,
like the one thing that was the most off was that Keanu Reeves just doesn't have the Ted in him anymore.
I don't think he has the Ted as much of the Tedness as he used to.
Like when he has to go, whoa, you're just like, man, you look so tired. You look like you're trying to tap into it. Well, like Alex Winter has all of that in him still. You've been John Wick for so long. All you've thought of is murder, and you're just like, cheery. Smile, damn you.
It kind of seems like there was a thing where like after the events of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Ted Theodore Logan like started working for the mob, and then his wife died of cancer, and then Theon Greyjoy shot his dog, and then like after all that, he went to like the Eternal Sunshine place and was like, I need all that murder gone, and then his buddy showed back and was like, let's have an adventure, dude. And he was like, okay. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, because if you watch the first two Bill and Ted's, he's smiling all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch the third one, he just looks tired.
Yeah,
he's like, but he wants to be there, so it's not like he's been forced to do it. It's just he doesn't have it in him. But it works for the story, though.
It does,
to be honest, because the plot of it is so like personal kind of thing for these two characters.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy to think about the idea that somebody came into your house when you were like a teenager and you're like, you're gonna save the future.
Yeah.
Like all of the humanity will forever remember and worship you.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is write a song, and then they just don't do it, and that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody.
I mean, like, if somebody showed up in my house right now with a telephone booth and took us to a future where like all the buildings had the Rage Select logo on it and everybody was like, "Hail Dongacles," and I'd be like, "Oh God, what have I done?" And they're like, "No, it's cool. Everybody's cool now." And I'd be like, "How?" They'd be like, "You're gonna do it.
You're gonna figure it out.
You're gonna do it." I'd be like, "But tell me more."
And then they're just gone, and they're just and. It's crazy, and I love that. Like that's what I love about the movie so much, especially the beginning, is that it's clear that Ted and Bill are just like, man, what the fuck? Like we've been trying for so long,
Yeah.
and we're just gonna not do it, and then reality tells them, fuck no, you're gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was quite enjoyable. It was quite enjoyable.
I loved it.
I don't know.
I love the daughters in it.
Yeah, I thought they were some of my favorite part because it was just like, oh, here's another Bill and Ted movie inside of your Bill and Ted movie, but just with two other characters.
I also love that there's no drama between them and their daughters.
Yeah,
because usually when there's like a sequel to something and they're like, here's their kid has like is kind of angsty towards the parent. Usually like the Die Hard sequels, just like, oh, the daughter doesn't really like John McClane all that much.
Well, his son doesn't like him either, right? When he goes to Russia and his son's all mad at him, and
that's exactly what I mean. Like every time there's like this is their kid, and they're like, I hate you, Dad. Or in this movie, they're like, Dads, we think you're awesome. And I also love that they call them dads.
Yeah,
they don't just and like, oh my God, I love that Bill and Ted are so together that they go to couples therapy together.
It took me a minute to actually understand the joke when they park the car and then just start walking across the yard to like the house that's next to where the car is.
Oh yeah,
because it's like they live right next to each other. They live in houses right next to each other.
They're the ultimate like best friend goal.
Yeah,
and I love them for that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Bill and Ted Face the Music. I thought it was very fun. I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't put it on like, I don't know, Mad Max or Spider-Verse tier or anything.
Well, I wouldn't even put it in like original Bill and Ted tier.
Yeah,
but to me, it's a great trilogy.
Yeah,
it's one of those trilogies that I can point to, and I'm like, I think this trilogy is perfect.
In a year where we've seen so many endings utterly fucked up,
yeah,
I will take like that was good. That was acceptable. Good job. Thank you for not fucking this all up and making it so that it's like, I mean, I was very brief diversion. I was watching one of the trailers from Gamescom, which we are going to gloss the fuck over, by the way. Okay. So anybody looking for in-depth Gamescom discussion, you need to go somewhere else. And they had the trailer for the Lego Skywalker trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
And it just brought back to me, I'm like, when you fucked up Rise of Skywalker, you fucked up the end of like a 9-movie arc that started in 1977. Like, you have fucked up, like, what is that? 40 years? Like, almost 40 years worth of, like, a story. Like, this story that started back here and then was, like, gonna come all the way to this climactic ending. And now for the rest, it's like Game of Thrones. We're like, for the rest of time, we now have to be like, well, the originals are pretty good, and there's some parts of the prequels that are okay, and like I liked some of the third one, but like that last one, nobody likes it. Like nobody's writing think pieces defending Rise of Skywalker. Like I actually know somebody who wrote a think piece defending fucking Dong of Justice as like it was so smart. You're too dumb to understand how smart it is, but like nobody is out there defending Rise of Skywalker.
I haven't seen anything like that, and it's been out for a while too, so they've had plenty of time to do that.
Yeah,
but people are already writing think pieces for Tenet, and it's only been out for like 3 days, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Rise of Skywalker, we went to do a gathering at one of us, and the entire night was us talking shit about Rise of Skywalker. The entire night. Like we would try to change the subject, and it would immediately be like, "Hey, you remember how this stupid thing
I
happened?"
think I was there for that one, right? It was just kind of.
I think you showed up it's later in the night.
It was just kind of like word vomit, where you're trying to talk about something else, and you're like, "But wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute."
Yeah, like I remember we were talking about a game, and then all of a sudden, one of us just went. But then this thing happened in Star Wars that didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and then everyone around us heard it, and then it just turned into another.
Yep.
2-hour discussion of how terrible Rise of Skywalker
It's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing. I mean, like it's okay. Here's a question for the ages, and I would like to pose this to people. I'm going to try not to be too insulting here, who are not chuckle fuck idiots.
Yes.
Okay.
Not weird at all.
Episode 1 or episode 9, which one is worse?
Fuck. Well, they're both terrible for different reasons.
Yes, absolutely.
Because episode 1 is terrible because for the most part it's boring as shit.
It's for baby toddlers.
It makes sense. Well, it's for baby toddlers, and then they talk about trade disputes for 40 minutes. So it's like that's why it's weird. It's like
Jar Jar. There's no Jar Jar in 9.
That's true. But there's it's oh my god, that's the thing. Like episode 1 is really bad because it's boring as shit. It's got young Anakin Skywalker, who's not all that interesting,
who accidentally blows up the Death Star.
Whatever that thing was. Yeah,
I'll try spinning. That works.
Yeah.
When would he ever spin in a pod racer? You would just eat dirt. How do you know that spinning works, Anakin? God damn.
And then you brought up something that slightly ruined my thoughts on Qui-Gon Jinn, because I was always like Qui-Gon Jinn isn't too bad, but then you were like, you're like, but think about Qui-Gon Jinn for a minute.
Yeah,
and I was like, shit, Qui-Gon Jinn is a terrible character.
Yep.
But Obi-Wan is like a lot of fun for the most part, but he isn't in that movie that long.
Leave him on the ship for the entire middle of the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not in that movie for too long.
Yep.
I think episode 1 is worse personally.
Okay.
Because it's more forgettable.
Yeah.
Episode 9 is so bad that it sometimes comes back around that you're just like, I'm like, yeah, that movie was dumb as hell, but I remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking stupid. And there's a lot of dumb fun parts in it.
I just don't know. I'm sorry. We have to move on after this because this could just be 4 hours of Star Wars. Is that the whole like, oh, hi, my ex-girlfriend. Hello, ex-boyfriend. What are you doing here? I'm trying to get on that ship, but we can't get on that ship. I have a thing that will get you on that ship. Give it to me. No. And then like 5 minutes later, here, you can take it. I'm like, what is this writing? Like, what? I've never seen this character before. And then suddenly she's holding the fucking MacGuffin to go do the anyway.
Well, the ultimate meme for how bad the writing was is Poe going somehow Emperor Palpatine has returned.
Right.
That's the entire thing.
Yep.
And then the fact that his message
Pippin is like dark science, Sith magic. I don't know.
And his message to the galaxy was in Fortnite, and it was just like, I don't know what's happening with this anymore.
It's very true. Anyway, we cannot just continue down this road.
We could go off for a while.
Yeah. Well, so almost the inverse of how disappointing episode 9 is we finally got the long-awaited Nintendo Direct Mario Edition.
It just showed up too.
Yeah, no fanfare, no nothing. Just like I opened my Discord and somebody in there was like, here's that thing we've been waiting for that was supposed to be at E3, but there was no E3, and then Nintendo just dicked around for 4 months. Like,
I don't know what the fuck happened.
Here's Pikmin, here's Shin Megami Tensei.
I came out of nowhere. Like I woke up on my face and I looked up at Facebook, and there it was.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck, guys?
Yep, Super Mario Brothers 35th anniversary. This was, I don't know. It's funny because in a lot of ways, what they've announced here, like normally I feel like the track that we'll get with any kind of video game thing is we will get something like this where they announce like remasters and re-releases, and here's maybe some special Mario shoes that you can buy if that's what you're into. And then at the end, they're like, and before we go, just one more thing. And it's like the teaser for Super Mario Odyssey 2, right? Like, or something like that.
Something crazy.
But this was just like straight nostalgia, top to bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, like, if you need a way to play any Mario game that's come out over the last 20 years, you now have it if you have a Nintendo Switch.
You have
apparently.
a decent way of doing it on the Switch, yeah.
Or you could do it through this Game & Watch that just plays Super Mario Brothers.
What a weird announcement, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like Super Mario Brothers 1 and 2, The Lost Levels, and also this Game & Watch game with Mario's head on it that makes it look creepy because of it.
Yeah.
Also, it's a clock.
Also, it's a watch because it's Game & Watch. And
it's like, oh, for fuck's sakes.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little strange, this thing.
It's super strange.
I wonder how much it would be. And I wonder how big it is, too. I mean, it doesn't look
That's a good
like
point.
super huge.
But yeah, look at that Mario head on that Game & Watch body.
Oh, yeah.
It looks disturbing.
It also looks boring. I think Game & Watch games look boring.
Well, the fact it's just the one Game & Watch game. You think you would have enough space to, add more Game & Watch Mario games?
Oh, I know for a fact that whatever form factor this is, it's big enough to hold every Mario game that's ever been created.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because I have devices in my house that can hold every Mario game ever created, and it's called like the cheapest micro SD card that you can buy. It's like every Mario game put together is what, like I'm talking
not a lot.
Every single Mario game that's ever been released is probably what, like a gig and a half all together.
Well,
like
once you get into the newer ones, not so much.
4 gigs.
The newer ones are a lot bigger.
16 gigs max.
Probably 16. 16 sounds more right. At least if you add Odyssey and 3D World in there.
So yeah, that's coming out in November. I'm actually really excited about this. Is they're putting out this might be my second or third favorite Mario game.
It's an amazing game.
Super Mario 3D World.
I can't stop thinking about dick bees when I see it now. You and fucking Brushwood.
You and everybody else, except for me, because I forget everything. Super Mario 3D World was amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was one of the best reasons to own a Wii U.
Yep.
Which is why now the Wii U is officially dead to me.
So, yeah, they're putting that out as a separate thing. And then there was some kind of weird... some kind of Bowser thing.
Yeah, it's like an expansion, probably for new levels.
Yeah. Bowser's Fury.
People are calling it Bowser's Furry already.
Right.
Because it's got a cat suit.
Yeah. So that's coming out in February of next year. Why? Put it out now, Nintendo.
It is interesting.
God damn it. Then we found this weird, what was this thing called? Like Super Mario Brothers 35 or something?
Yeah, Super Mario 35.
Where it's it's Tetris 99, but with Mario. So everybody's playing Super Mario, but then when you kill enemies, it sends them to other people's stages. And so you're doing this multiplayer thing where everybody's trying to beat this one level of Super Mario Brothers, and the longer it goes on, the more fucked up it is. And then you win, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you can... I don't know, it's crazy. I like the idea of it somewhat, but the way... It's really really ominous the way they talk about some of these things, because they're always like, "Hey, this thing is going to be great until March of next year."
Yeah,
it's like, why do you guys keep saying that?
Yeah,
you make it sound like you're going to shoot somebody in the back of a building after the March happens.
Yeah, why would you turn it off? I mean, for this, I could actually understand it because
that one makes sense.
The online stuff has a little bit of a limited thing, but later on, we're going to get to another one where it's
that's why would you say that?
Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah. This was a very strange announcement. There is a new Mario Kart, Michael.
Kind of.
But it is in the IRL. So this is a remote-controlled Mario a cart, like an RC car with a camera on it, that then you set up these cardboard checkpoints and then drive to create the track, and then you can just drive IRL. Like the Switch will control this little RC car with Mario in it, and you can literally race around your house. It's I guess Nintendo's really been leaning back into the toys thing, because we have Labo, and then we had Lego, and but this is weird, and the fact that it's got 2 players, you're not going to drift in an RC car.
No, you can't really do all the things that you would expect to, for the most part.
Yeah. It's a very strange concept, and I'm kind of interested in it, except that, one, if you have carpet, go fuck yourself, apparently, right?
For the most part, yeah.
And 2, I have to wonder how much it's going to cost.
That's the most difficult thing about it, because they're not only just RC cars, they have little webcams on them.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on to these things, and they can't be cheap.
No. Also, I don't know. I mean, this seems like the sort of thing that, like, I don't know. You know what this reminds me of is it's a thing where, like, your cousin has it, and, like, when you go visit your cousin over the holidays, you, like, really want to play this, and he's like, I'm fucking sick of that shit.
That's 100% what it would have been like. If I was a teenager right now and this thing came out, I guarantee to you my cousin is buying that shit as we speak.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, and I would never be the one who have owned this. Even now, I don't think I would be the one who have owned this.
Sure.
You need a house to make this shit work.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that watching this morning. I was looking at my apartment. I'm like, yeah, you could go like a foot down this way and that way at best.
I think that if I went to my living room and took all of my coffee table and my rug up, I think I could probably do it in my living room and have a really shitty course.
No,
because it's not very big
for the most part.
Yeah.
Like every trailer, or not every trailer, every video of them doing it, like it's one of those big,
it's
fuck
like
off living rooms.
Yeah. I mean, this is Austin. You have to be a gajillionaire to have a house in this town.
Oh, just in general nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's just have a house.
Oh yeah, there's also going to be a bunch of weird events, like these weird
little things.
You got to do these like quizzes and download stuff, and then if you complete these things, you can get this really nice pack of little Mario pins.
Yeah,
like I just want the pins. I don't want to have to do anything.
It is neat.
Just give me them pins, because it's basically like one pin for each game, which is pretty cool. Let's see. There's some bullshit. There's some more bullshit. There's some shirts and bullshit.
When they announced the shirts, they're like, you can buy these shirts in New York. Fuck you, old poor people.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Fuck you guys.
There's going to be some stuff in Super Mario Maker. I don't care about any of that. There's going to be some stuff in Smash and Splatoon and some keychains and T-shirts and Animal Crossing and all this bullshit. And you can buy some shoes and a creepy Chucky Mario and all kinds of Legos and shit. Like, it just, oh my God, guys. That was really weird where they announced Super Mario All-Stars like it was a brand new thing where they're like, now you could play Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, and the Lost Levels, and they've all been remastered into brand new sprites. And it's like, well, yeah, that's a Super Nintendo game, y'all. Like,
yeah, and I think it's just the online thing.
Yeah.
As well. So it's not like you can buy it for your Switch, per se.
This is fine. You know what? This should have been on the Game & Watch, right?
Yeah, that should have been something that the Game & Watch had.
Like if they had a separate Game & Watch that had all 4 of these on it. Like that's a good value. Like for $30 or $40 to have like all those OG Mario games in your pocket. That's a good thing.
It could be cool.
In any case, I mean, like Super Mario All-Stars is great. It's great. But you know, you have to do it through the Switch Online collection. So.
Yeah.
Then the big one. Then we had the big one.
Then the thing everyone was sort of waiting for, although some people were a little disappointed by one part of it, which is the fact that a lot of people were speculating that the Mario 64 was going to be like a Crash Bandicoot, like full-on
super remastered 16 by 9.
That's what most people were hoping for.
Yeah,
they're not disappointed per se. They're just. Or they're disappointed.
They're not angry. They're just disappointed.
They're just disappointed. But only on that part, because everything else, everybody's really excited for the most part.
So, not to bury the lead, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy are coming out in a big pack. They're all up-resed. They're all,
16 by 9, that kind of thing.
Is 64 and 16 by 9?
Oh, that's what they said. They said they...
Oh, they stretched it out?
They stretched out all those games to be 16 by 9. Because they did up-res Mario 64.
Okay. So they're all going to be available in a single pack. These are like the Mario games that I never really played.
I only played 64 on the DS version, so I never played the original one. Sunshine I played, and it's fairly difficult at times.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people who to this day say it's their favorite Mario game.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't like Mario Galaxy when it first came out.
Oh.
I thought it was boring as shit.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of getting it just to see if maybe I was just too harsh on it at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was a Wii game at the time. I didn't really have like a pro controller.
Well, plus, I find that like, okay, so what's interesting about this era of Mario is that I feel like I'm kind of on board with you where I was a little bit like down on this era, but I think it was because I wanted something more akin to Super Mario 3D World where it was like simple level challenges.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kind of something like Super Mario World, and these all got really fiddly, right? Like I never played 64. So like going back and trying to play it, it was like, oh, this is like it's like trying to play fucking Ocarina of Time. It's like, this is a substandard 3D platforming game now. I mean, okay, listen, before you write your shit, I get that when it came out, nobody had ever done anything like that before, but the N64 was one of the consoles that I missed in my shitty teenage years, and I never played it, so I don't have any nostalgia. It just looks like a bad version of Mario in a really janky game that doesn't have a lot of scenery. The other two in this trailer look absolutely fantastic.
It's funny because there was an old gag I used to say about Mario Galaxy. That doesn't really, for the most part, people don't remember, which is that when Mario Galaxy happened, before Mario Galaxy, Mario tended to punch and kick.
Yeah.
And Crash Bandicoot tended to spin. But around that time, the Crash Bandicoot game that came out was him punching and kicking. And the Mario game that came out was him spinning.
Oh.
And I was like, what the fuck happened here, guys? Like, I'm confused as to how this happened.
Hold on. In there, they did say 16 by 9. See, this says 16 by 9 for Super Mario Sunshine. I think 64 is still in 4 by 3 because when they showed the video, it's still in 4 by 3.
Oh, okay.
So.
For some reason, I assumed that those there. I didn't read that part on the bottom.
No, it's in like a footnote on this video. So I mean, I wouldn't expect it. Plus, when they do that, it's like, oh, you're going to do that for everything, and it's like, no.
You fuckers. Okay, make me look like a dick. I'm just kidding.
And then they're putting in like Joy-Con controller, but then this is like the other one where it's limited. It's coming out September 18th.
The way they said it, they're like, it's limited retail digital until March is what they said. I'm like, what does that mean?
What happens in March, Nintendo?
Like, do you shoot it off of the e-store or what's happening there?
Does Nintendo know something that we don't? Is there like a comet coming with Mario's face that's going to hit the Earth?
Well, Mario Day is in March, so it's like, what are you expecting to happen in that time?
You know what? Oh, you know what? Okay, let me throw my speculation hat in the ring. You know what would be interesting is if it is Mario Day in March and that's the day that's the month when it's up. What if in March they decide to put out like a $40 or $50 pack that is just every Mario game, right? Since most of them are on the Switch, right? Since you've got Odyssey, you're going to have 3D World, you have 64 and Sunshine and whatever. You got the Lost Levels, you got the originals are easy to get on there. Oh, like here's a whole fucking.
Those are all the ones on Switch.
And New Super Mario Brothers U is out on the Switch as well.
Yes, it is.
So most of those are already out. Like once 3D World is out, then the only thing then you could package them all. Like once Mario 3D World and that collection is out, you could package every single Mario game into like one big mega package.
That would be amazing.
That you could just play every Mario game that's ever came out. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not the comet with Mario's face heading towards the Earth.
I don't know. The way they say it just makes it very ominous is the way they do it.
Yeah.
They're just like, until March, so we're going to fucking kill it all. We're going to burn this fucking thing to the ground.
Just like a gun to Yoshi's head. Like,
we're going to kill Shigeru Miyamoto right in front of you.
Oh my God.
In March.
So yeah, that was the thing. Everybody's been waiting for it. Basically 4 remasters, 5 remasters.
A lot of re-releases for the most part. Yeah.
And like I said, I really, really did expect that maybe at the end we were going to get, and then here comes Odyssey 2.
I was expecting some kind of other announcement, but I think
Bayonetta.
I think they were expecting
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta Mario. No, like it's just we were all waiting for this announcement for so long that none of it was, or not none of it, but the thing that they were showing as the surprise wasn't a surprise anymore.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because that would have been really cool if they announced it around the E3 time when the speculation started happening, because at that point we would have been like super like into the idea more.
Let's run it down. If at E3 this year it had been everything that we just said, also Paper Mario Origami King, also Pikmin 3, also announced Shin Megami Tensei 5, as well as that remaster of the other Shin Megami Tensei. I mean, that would have been a hell of a show altogether. And then even if you threw ARMS Min Min in there, maybe
that would have been a hell of a show.
That would have been a big thing. And then we still have the rumors that there's a hardware refresh. So actually, it would be really interesting if next March there was a Mario-themed Switch that comes bundled with every single Mario game as a pack-in.
That could be rad.
Could be interesting. In any case, finally, Nintendo can stop getting ratioed on YouTube because if they do anything, I feel like they were just like, just put it out, just put it out,
just fucking do it,
just fucking do it. I'm so tired of like if we say anything that's not Mario, Like, now all we have to deal with is the 3.5 thousand downvotes that are Smash fans that just want to hear who the next Smash fighter is.
They mentioned Smash in it at least. Those guys were somewhat happy.
Yeah. I was I was tickled. I don't normally like to just pimp out other people's stuff, but I do follow Jeff Gersman on Twitter. And after this came out, he tweeted Mario and Smash. And I was like,
that's really good.
That's good. That's good.
That's really good.
It's good stuff. So you would think that would be like the end of it, but oh no, we are just getting started.
Yeah.
Get out. Let's see. I had some other stuff here. I don't know if any of this actually applies. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is just rundowns. All right. Pucker up your lips because it's time for the gloss. We are glossing over all of Gamescom.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
The problem with Gamescom this year is that, there are two problems.
What's that?
Okay. Number one, a lot of the stuff that they talked about, like, we already know that it exists, and they didn't show anything substantially huge.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, I challenge you. You were alive this weekend when Gamescom was happening.
Yes.
Was there anything in your social media where people were like, "Oh my god! Like, I can't believe that they're putting out a Turrican collection"?
Not
you know?
really. And, like, Gamescom basically didn't come up at all, really.
I mean, I watched
I
some
don't know
of
anyone who mentioned it.
Jeff Keighley thing, and it was pretty well put on, but like, it was just a lot of the stuff that they talked about we already know about. So
there's a lot of trailers for things that are already been announced.
Yeah.
Newer like the Kingdom of Amular or whatever. Had one person message me about that, but I was like, I've known about that for like a year now.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And
also, it's a bad game. So
yeah, and then the Star Wars Squadron thing.
we know about
They
that.
showed more of that.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that's cool, I guess. But
So here, let's just run down this list, and I'll say stuff. We did have a Dragon Age 4, one of these BioWare, like, let's just interview people and show some concept art and maybe a few models. I don't really care about Dragon Age.
I haven't cared about Dragon Age in a long time. And that was honestly, I never really played them to begin with. So yeah,
Doom Eternal, Ancient Gods had another trailer. Fall Guys Season 2.
that was fast.
Star Wars Squadrons had the single player. I like the single player preview, but the thing is that, like, they already showed off enough of Star Wars Squadrons that, like, if they had, like, maybe this is one of those things where if EA had announced Star Wars Squadrons, but only like 2 of the 5 classes of ships, and then this trailer was like, now let's take a look at the interceptors, that kind of thing. I would have been like, oh, new information. But, like, I already know
They said everything.
what
from the
Squadrons
get-go.
is. Yeah.
Like, and it's out in like a month.
Yeah.
So it was just a nice like reminder, like, hey, this is going to be really cool.
Little Nightmares 2 looks like Little Nightmares 2. I'm going to come back to Sims Journey of Baku. They had this big cinematic. Did you watch the cinematic for Shadowlands?
I did not.
It's a big kind of motion comic cinematic that was pretty good. I was watching the live stream when they did it, and Jeff Keighley was like, and here is a new cinematic thing for Shadowlands from Blizzard. And I was like, ooh, yay! Are they making like Overwatch cinematics but for Warcraft? Because I haven't seen a new Overwatch skit in like a year.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
And then it started, and it was like motion comics. And I was like, ah, God, fuck. And it was all about Uther, what's his face, that Arthas killed.
Don't look at me.
Going to the afterlife. It was some bullshit.
You're saying just words to me.
Okay. You're not a Warcraft guy?
I know. I never got into it.
There was a new 12 Minutes trailer, which is that top-down indie game.
I do remember liking the idea of that.
They announced the voice cast,
Oh.
which, because it's so small, is 3 people. And those 3 people are it's Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, and Willem Dafoe.
That's actually a really good voice cast.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So, that looks cool.
That's really good.
Lemnis Gate, Age of Empires 3, this Medal of Honor Oculus game that they announced like 2 years ago.
Good for them, I guess.
Unknown 9 Awakening, which is weird, and can't
Doesn't
tell.
really tell you anything.
It doesn't.
per
It's just
se.
a cinematic trailer. It's like a little girl, and she's got a crystal, and it stops time. And I'm like, okay, cool. What game is it? Surgeon Simulator 2 got Doc Brown.
Okay,
came
so
by.
that was the one thing I saw that appeared on all my social medias, sort of.
Yeah.
Was that Doc Brown, for some fucking reason, introduces the Surgeon Simulator 2 gameplay trailer.
Yep. And he did it. Well, and they did it, and it's out now. But the problem was that Surgeon Simulator 2 has been available for like 2 or 3 weeks. to get into like the beta before it launches.
yeah.
So it wasn't even like that big a deal.
Well, not only that, Christopher Lloyd is very old now.
Oh yeah.
So seeing him do Doc Brown was almost sad.
Yeah, he needs to go back and do that thing where he peels his face off again.
Exactly. He needs to be younger again.
Ta-da!
And then he's like, I'm going to go watch Avengers 27 now. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. They're making a new Sam & Max VR game, which is pretty cool.
Good for them. People really like Sam & Max.
Destiny 2 had some stuff. Warhammer had some stuff. Crash. They had a little skit with Crash Bandicoot 4 where he went to the Gamescom building and nobody was there. And then he hooked up with the Gamescom bot there. And yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I do like that they have a giant mask on the Crash Bandicoot suit.
Yes. Yeah. There was one new, I think Outriders had a new trailer, which is the People Can Fly, kind of Mass Effect meets Destiny type of thing that they're making. Necromunda Underhive Wars had a new trailer, which is pretty cool. But that game comes out next week. That game comes out in 2 days. Like
really soon.
There was this really weird game called Teardown where I actually watched this one and it was very strange. It's like this guy made this game that's a heist game, but every single thing is destructible in it.
Oh wow!
Like the whole world is made out of like voxels, so you could just blow up anything and move anything around. It's kind of weird.
That's a fun idea, though.
Yeah, Godfall is stupid. Oh, they did announce Override 2.
That's something.
Yeah, Super Mech League, which apparently this one's going to be like the tournament arc, I guess, of Override, which
That's
is
interesting.
That gigantic mech game that we played. This one looks a little bit more action packed because the previous one, I mean, obviously what we're watching right here is just cinematic trailer, but the previous one had like this very like control the arms, control the legs kind of robot alchemic drive thing.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Mafia had a new trailer. Skywalker Saga had a new trailer. There's one for this game called Struggling that was, if I remember correctly, this is I don't even remember what this is. Oh, yeah. This is like a big head that has two arms. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know. I don't really even know. I'd be honest. I don't know. It looks weird. There's a lot of stuff in here that like we already know about. Wasteland 3 was a trailer like a day before it came out.
Yeah.
Spellbreak, which is a MOBA or like a third-person battle royale game with spells. Scarlet Nexus, which is that anime game they showed at the PS5 conference.
Oh, yeah.
They talked a little bit about that. I don't really know some of these. Dirt 5 had some stuff. This one was funny. There was a Bridge Constructor Walking Dead, and it's like the whole trailer was about building a bridge and then like collapsing it when zombies walk over it. And I'm like, okay,
what? Sure.
What? I don't know if you remember, but there was actually the Bridge Constructor Portal that came out like
that's right.
6 months ago. And then WWE 2K Battlegrounds. I know there was more that came from Gamescom, but I looked over the list and it was like, a lot of this stuff, there is such a thing as giving me too much information in one week to deal with.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
This was definitely the week where that happened. I do though like the trailer for The Sims 4 Star Wars, a Star Wars journey. I bought EA Access off of Steam for $5 a month and reinstalled The Sims 4. BTW. Buying EA Access gets you access to The Sims 4. No expansions. 0 expansions.
Right.
But this is coming out next week, and it's a standalone expansion, and apparently it just whisks your sim away to the theme park from Disney, right?
That's interesting.
Or I don't know. Maybe it's like a different version of it. But
I couldn't tell you. I don't know what the name of that place is supposed to be.
Yeah. But I don't know. This looks more fun than playing The Sims, and there hasn't been a good Star Wars game in a while, so...
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, unless you count the
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah. So, I don't know. I'm going to play this. It looks stupid. I don't know if you noticed, Michael, but this week, this is our winner of upvote to downvote chaos, where it's 3,000 upvotes and 1.7 thousand downvotes, because it's one of those things where people are just like, man... you guys should be fixing the pet AI in The Sims and not just cranking out fan service. And I'm like, no, crank out fan service, because otherwise I don't give a shit about The Sims.
I love that top comment, though.
Yeah.
EA just putting Star Wars and everything before they lose the license.
Yeah. So that was Gamescom. But that's not all, because we also had Avengers War Table. God damn it. The main thing out of this was we got the reveal of Kate Bishop as a DLC character. who is. Tell me who Kate Bishop is.
She is the second Hawkeye.
Okay.
After Clint had died, she took over as Hawkeye and continued to be Hawkeye for a while.
Like a while back in the comics.
Yeah, this was like even before Civil War happened, kind of thing. That's how far back that was. And she's still been around even to this day. Apparently, her plot is supposed to lead up to the actual Clint Barton character DLC eventually.
Oh, okay.
Because
2 Hawkeyes in a row?
That's the thing. A lot of people are speculating the reason that is because they were originally going to announce the Black Panther thing.
Oh.
But then, Chadwick Boseman died, and they're like, oh, fuck, we have to scramble. So they're like, what else do we have? Other Hawkeye. I'm like, well, fuck.
2 Hawkeyes. 2!
So they decided to just be like, other Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like, we already have this made, so here you go. I still think it's kind of cool, because I like Kate Bishop a lot.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, we don't have access yet, because I'm not paying $80 for this game. But... No. The real question is going to be like, I've actually read some articles saying that the single player stories in the game are pretty expansive, that like the single player campaign lasts for a fairly good amount of time, especially if you pepper in doing some multiplayer content with it. So this war table also had a few other things. They had basically, they talked about a few new multiplayer things, basically like a lot of high tier stuff. So there's these aim caches that you will only be able to do when you're they're like raids. They're end game raids for loot. They talked about these what's it called, the hive, where it's like you go in and then you go down, it's like the Onimusha Tower, like you're going down and every level gets harder and harder. And apparently, like when they were talking about it, they said that like if one of your Avengers falls, then you switch to your next Avenger, and once you are out of Avengers, then it's like you have to start over again.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Strange, but interesting.
And they talked a little bit about AIM. They talked a little bit about the characters. Who are the faceless guys that AIM makes? The like bots that they make that are totally in the game.
I don't know, actually.
I don't remember.
I forgot what they're called.
Anyway,
I don't know a whole lot about AIM, to be honest.
Well, you're gonna. They also talked a little bit about the microtransactions, which apparently are pretty expensive.
Okay,
so here's the thing. No, there are no. You can't buy power. Basically, you can't buy equipment. You can't buy upgrades. You can't buy a XP booster. None of that.
Okay.
What you can buy is cosmetics. Now, the cosmetics seem like they're really expensive. Like a premium skin, maybe like $15.
That's crazy. You should.
Yeah. But then also, apparently, when you go through the battle pass with each individual character, you will get those same credits that you can use to buy stuff. So, like, if you max out one character, you'll probably have enough to buy like one cosmetic. I know a lot of people are mad about that because I feel like they said there's no microtransactions at E3, and everyone's like, yeah, and it was like, and I was just back here like, bullshit.
Yeah, everyone was like, I doubt.
Yes,
very doubt.
Everyone disliked that. But I mean, if they're going to be giving away the DLC for free, look, there's 2 choices here, right?
Yeah.
Either you're going to pay for the individual characters that come out, or there's going to be a bunch of microtransactions in the game. I think this is probably the best possible scenario where like I get Spider-Man without having to pay for it. But and for me, it's mostly because I don't care if I have the dumb Miami version of Hulk.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the costumes I remember even in the beta were like, I don't care about any of these.
Yeah.
Like one of them was like, he has like a skeleton paint thing on him. I'm like, who wants that?
I mean, I'm a basic bitch. I want the classic Avengers.
That's the thing.
Looking like classic Avengers.
It's a single player, or for the most part, a single player multiplayer-ish game. It has nothing to do, like, it's not like Destiny where every armor looks different. Kind of thing. It's like you have your costumes and that's what you have.
Right.
Like for me, for the most part in a game, if there's like one costume I really like, I'm just going to use that fucker forever.
Yep.
And that's for the most part what might end up happening here.
Yep.
Sure, with Spider-Man, I'll probably have that idea where I want all of the outfits. But for the most part, when it comes to Captain America or Hulk or something, I'm like, well, I like this one. I'm just going to use this one.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
They also talked in the war table about they're going to have like daily and weekly events basically that happen.
Oh, okay.
And like that was one of the things that I feel like would. Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm weirdly optimistic for this Avengers game now. Like I know I started out being like the world's biggest fuck you fanboy for it. But after playing it, I'm like, this is mindless. Like, it's definitely not going to be my game of the year, but it could be my destiny. That's what
That's exactly how I feel about it.
Like,
I know somebody who did play the $80, and he'll message me every now and then, and he'd be like, I'm having a lot of fun with this. Although there's like glitches here and there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like he sent me a video of his Captain America where the outfit, for some reason, I guess it bugs out and his eyes just sort of start like bulging out kind of thing. Like randomly when he's talking, it's just like, it's just really funny.
I don't know.
But he's like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. And everybody is like shitting all over it. But I've been going on Twitter, and the people who are actually playing it, for the most part, like about like 80% of them are just like, hey, I'm having a lot of fun with this. The other 20% are very much the ones that are like the technical, like, this is what's weird about this thing kind of thing, are the ones that are actually shitting on it, I guess.
It reminds me a lot of my experience with Anthem, where like people talk about Anthem like it's Aliens Colonial Marines. And I'm like, but it's not. You get to fly around in an Iron Man suit, shoot missiles and shit. Like,
no.
I mean, it's not my game of the year. No, it's not the best game I've ever played. No, it's not a 10 out of 10. But there's room in this world for a 7 out of 10 if I get to fly around as Tony Stark and shoot repulsors and shit. And then like if they do that thing where they actually put in like, I don't know, a 3 or 4 mission story beat with like the new Hawkeye, and then it's like, oh cool, new single player content for me, the single player guy, and then I guess I could use this Hawkeye online if I want, like whatever. But I don't know. I Avengers has apparently in my brain, I didn't realize this, has apparently done the work of just being like, we can make a mediocre third-person action game that you can play with other people, and you'll be like, yay, Iron Man or the Hulk. Like, I love the Hulk. Like, that work has already been done by comics and movies and cartoons and all kinds of shit. So I don't know. Like, I'm looking forward to playing it tomorrow.
I am too, to be honest. I'm actually very excited to see how I like it.
I want to unlock Captain America because he wasn't available, and I like Captain
fucking
America.
Rad. Yeah.
So yeah, but these do seem. They also, of course, they rolled out like the what it costs to buy the credits in the game. So it's just like every other goddamn microtransaction thing. The more you buy, the more there is.
The Crash Bandicoot one had very similar pricing. So
I think, but you know what? I think a lot of it is the fact that like I'm over the funky cosmetics. I don't give a shit. I don't
need disco whatever kind of thing, or hey, it's Captain America, but like he is yellow or something. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that.
Strangely enough, it was Overwatch that did that. Because when Overwatch came out, I was like, ooh, I'm going to get all these cosmetics. And then when it became clear that no, I was not, because I wasn't willing to spend money, I was like, okay, I'm over it. Fuck you guys. I don't give a shit about any of these.
Well,
set everybody to default, and I'm going home. Like,
not only that, you don't see your own cosmetics for the most part in Overwatch.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, I'm kind of cool. Like the one cosmetic I really wanted for McCree definitely was the Olympics one.
Yeah.
Because he's got this America fucking revolver.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the one thing you definitely will see.
The flag?
Yeah, he's got like a flag as this thing.
Yeah.
His revolver is basically flag colored.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is dumb as shit, but I love the idea of this.
My one was the Grill Master 76.
That one is great.
With the Hawaiian shirt and the socks and Crocs or whatever.
Especially if you unlock his emote where it says "Get off my lawn" or something like that.
Final thing from Avengers. Apparently, Avengers, you can't join a co-op game in progress. This is something Crystal Dynamics might be changing in the future, but right now, apparently, like if you don't have a full group or if somebody drops out of your group while you're playing, nobody can join in mid-group.
I don't know if that's a terrible thing, to be honest. I think that's pretty standard, to be honest.
I
think even Destiny did that. Like you're not allowed to join something in the middle of a mission.
Do you remember, does it have crossplay? I don't think it does it?
The closest thing they said that it will have is if you have a PS5 one and a PS4 one. I remember them announcing that those will play together.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of things that are coming, speaking of the future, we got this. I don't normally talk about this shit on this show, Michael, but we got this.
It's a big deal, apparently.
Yeah. Nvidia announced the new RTX 3000 series of giant fucking video cards.
These things are massive, guys.
3070, 3080, and 3090. They are coming so the 3070 is coming in October, and I believe the 3080 and the 3090 are coming in November. They are going to cost $500, $700, and $1,500. There's a little jump on that last one.
Yeah.
I'm like, $1,500? That's enough to buy every console that exists and still have money left over to play games. Like
That's the crazy thing. Yeah, you could buy like rumor wise, you could buy both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and buy like a shit ton of games for both of them.
No, you want to hear one better than that? For $1,500, unless these new consoles are something crazy, you could buy a PlayStation 5 and a really nice TV to play it on.
Yeah,
like
a really, really nice TV. To
this
play
is
it on.
just a video card.
It's like the size of a Switch.
Yeah, it's huge. They're like they're 3 banks. They've got this like crazy big double fan tech on them. But here's the thing: apparently, the $500 version will outperform the current gen 2080s by like 60%.
That's fucking crazy, by the way.
So, like, yeah, their budget entry into video cards. I mean, granted, $500 is still the cost of a console,
yes.
right? And you need like the rest of the computer too to go with it. This is what I always hate. This is what the PC Master Race never tells you: is that like, yes, if you buy a $500 video card every 3 or 4 years, you can stay on top of the PC Master Race. But that is after you have purchased a $2,000 computer to put that video card into.
Yes, they always leave out the part
and the
where
monitor
it's
and the keyboard,
stupid expensive,
and the speakers.
But they're always like, but the games are so cheap. I'm like, I don't have that much. Like that amount of money would pay off my car right now. Like, I don't have that money, guys. The fuck.
Yeah, but this is pretty rocking, man. I might buy that $500 3070, I believe.
That's a nice idea if you're really into that sort of thing.
The only thing is, I think that it's going to be that PC Master Race thing where I buy that, but then I'm probably going to have to buy a 1,000-watt power supply to power it because I don't have enough power.
Right. That thing is really big.
Yep.
Odds are you're going to need something stronger.
Needs more power.
That's the issue with building a computer, is that it's one of those. It's a slippery slope.
Yep.
Of buying more shit to keep your house from exploding.
No, Michael, my hard drive went bad. So I bought a new hard drive, and then I bought a second hard drive, and then I bought some RAM, and then I bought a video card, and then I bought a second monitor because the monitor didn't work with the video card previously that I got and I had to reinstall Windows, and it's like, oh shit, I have now spent $700 on this computer that doesn't even run every game that comes out.
It's the craziest thing about building a computer.
Yeah. In any case, this is pretty rocking.
And before you guys are like, you can get the super cheap parts, fuck you.
I've actually been
I'm not
watching
dealing with that.
I've been watching Linus Tech Tips a lot, that YouTube channel. I don't know if you ever watched it, where it's all kinds of like PC stuff. And they've done a few of those, like, we're going to build a $500 desktop. And like, they kind of suck. Like, they're fine, but
they're okay.
They probably will outperform I guess that the thing is that, like, if you just want to play like online games in front of a monitor, sure, but are you going to build a $500 PC and then hook it up to your TV and then like attach a controller to it?
Kind of destroys the point.
I mean, just buy a PlayStation, or I don't know.
No, I will never fully understand it. I get it, but I never fully understand it.
Yep. Let's see. Speaking of things that are brand new that we don't know much about, Capcom was supposed to tell us more about Resident Evil Village this month. Remember, they said more information is coming in August.
Oh, I forgot about that entirely.
And there was no information in August. So Capcom actually came out and apologized and said that they're going to be doing more for Village as part of the Tokyo Game Show. I forgot there's another one.
When is the Tokyo Game Show?
September 26th to 27th at the end of this month. But that's the last one. Like, that's the end.
For a while, yeah.
They better, I mean, I don't know why I'm getting all mad like anything's going to happen, but, if they don't announce, if they don't let me pre-order some fucking consoles by the end of the Tokyo Game Show, by the end of this month, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a hissy. I'm going to have a big old podcast hissy over here.
Yeah, I took a chunk of my current paycheck and I threw it into my savings just to be like, well, maybe if I'm able to pre-order, I'll get another controller kind of thing. But it's like, but this shit needs to happen like now.
It would have been announced. The price would have been announced at least in July.
Yeah.
Like, this is unacceptable.
This is insane.
Like, I'm
neither of them are fucking blinking.
Yeah. And I don't understand it. Like, are we going to go all the way till November? And they're just like, okay, you know what? It's out tomorrow and it's $400. There it is.
Now fight each other to the death.
Yeah. So yeah, you will be able to find out more about Resident Evil Village at the end of this month. Ubisoft also is having a Ubisoft Forward next week, another one of their live shows where they are on the 10th. They are talking about Watch Dogs, Rainbow Six Siege, and Hyperscape, and they are also apparently going to be talking about Gods and Monsters, which has been renamed to the far inferior name Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
That's a way worse game.
FENYX. Phoenix Rising.
That's a way worse name, guys.
So bad, right?
That's such a terrible name.
Gods and Monsters. That's so easy to remember.
Immortals and Phoenix Rising sounds like a really generic, like, fucking. It's like Blinks the Time Cat kind of name. Like Gods and Monsters sounded awesome.
At least Blinks the Time Cat is so stupid I'll never forget it. But,
exactly. But it's like it's one of those generic names that, like, if you had a generator, it would pop up with Immortals Phoenix Rising.
You know what it seems like? It sounds like the name of the sequel to that Immortals movie.
It does, yeah.
Tarsik or whatever.
Henry Cavill or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah. Apparently, we're going to find out more about it now that they fucked that whole name up.
That sucks.
Where's that pirate game, Michael? Where's that pirate multiplayer game that was supposed to come out like 5 years ago?
I forgot about that. Yeah, they announced it, and everyone was really excited.
That's a good sign.
And then whatchamacallit came out, the Sea of Thieves, and people thought it was that for a while.
Yeah. All right. So now comes the point of the podcast where we have to veer a little bit.
Yeah.
Because... something else happened with Ubisoft last week.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
Ubisoft put out their mobile game, Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. We have talked about it.
Oh, boy.
So there was an intro for Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. Just so that you know, Tom Clancy's Elite Squad is one of these dumbass free mobile games where it's a tactics thing. It's a hero thing. It's the one that has Sam Fisher and all the rainbows and all the divisions and
the little Avengers thingy.
And they're doing their thing, and you only have a certain number of moves a day or something. You got to wait. I don't know. I haven't even played it, but that's what I understand it to be. But it had this intro. Okay. I don't want to do this, but we're going to do this.
We have to. They forced our hand.
They did. So the plot of this game is that the world is in chaos, unrest, and violence. And protests and violence, I already said violence, are everywhere. And these violent protests are happening due to wars and corruption and poverty and all kinds of things. And they're in the streets. People are in the streets. But those people are being manipulated by Umbra, a shadowy organization that is manipulating people into rioting, collecting followers on social media, and their logo is a black raised fist.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the worst possible time.
Well, but
they had a year.
Okay, but not even just that, because then Umbra is trying to foment more chaos, and so all the nations of the world have come together to give Sam Fisher and his... You guys all remember that Sam Fisher works for the NSA, right?
Yeah.
And like all of his paramilitary chums, as well as a lot of the bad guys from Ubisoft games, to come together into a paramilitary squad that answers to nobody to take down the evil Umbra with the black fist raised logo. That's the plot. Now, as I understand it, in the game, it's not as like that was the intro movie, right? So like, you know, all the dumb mobile games have those fucking fantasy intro movies that have this like, super CGI thing.
It's always like this really elaborate thing that has nothing to do with the actual
game.
thing.
Yeah. But okay. First off, can I just say that Umbra and Antifa kind of similar, and they both start with vowels, they both end with an A, they're close to the same number of syllables.
It's the issue is that they from the get-go, one of the first things they show you are people protesting because they're poor and they want a better life.
Yeah.
And then they're like, by the way, all of those people are being evilly manipulated to do evil things, so that means all of these protests are evil. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
By this organization with the black raised fist that is doing all the dirty from behind the scenes.
It has all these like fake tweets and shit where it's like, this is what we do to politicians and stuff. It's like, this is some stupid fucking like, this is some shit I would see on Twitter right now from people trying to spread propaganda kind of thing.
So okay, so I wanna give
we're lucky Trump didn't retweet this and said it was real life.
I want to give
all I have to say.
I want to give a slightly charitable read on this, and then tell these guys to go fuck themselves. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's be slightly charitable for 1 second. Okay. They said, I don't know if I believe them, but they said, because this game has been in development for a while, we've known it was been in development for a few years, that this cinematic was made in 2018. Okay. So that leads us to 2. This plot is some horse shit that you can see Ubisoft making.
Yeah, absolutely.
This totally fits in with The Division and Watch Dogs and all those, like, Ubisoft fucking jerks off to the idea of secret organizations and paramilitary groups that have to stop them. Like, they love it. They
literally
love it.
The point of The Division.
Right. So I can see that somebody wrote this and then they sent it to a CGI house to make this and put it in the game. 3, Ubisoft is a French company who I can see being weirdly blind to like exactly like I don't know that they would.
That's definitely an issue because the French are very much in the middle of an exact thing that's even far worse,
right?
Kind of thing. So I think that's my issue with it is that all of this stuff has been going on not only just here but in France itself.
Yes,
for like a year.
Yes,
they had plenty of time in between to either not use the cinematic or for somebody to look at it again to be like, hey, are we still going with this? Because I think that's a bad idea.
So, on the other hand, we had that thing where Ubisoft is like, well, we don't want to be political. We just want to use kind of like the world as like a template to generate stories in, right?
It's that Assassin's Creed thing where in the beginning it's like it gives that whole like, hey, none of this is our actual beliefs, but fuck God kind of thing is what the story tends to be. Right. It's like, what's happening?
Yeah. But on the other side of the coin, like this is the problem that you get into where it's like, okay, guys, you want to use like modern current events and make things that are super close to reality. Well, even if I give you the most charitable read, somebody needed to watch this and go, hey, are we still going with this?
This specific thing.
This? Like, maybe just take out the black fist. Yeah. Maybe take out the black fist.
Make it a different symbol of some kind.
Like, I feel like if they took out the black fist, it might have been different.
Well, if it was a black fist and there was like a sword in its hand,
sure,
then it would have made more sense.
Yes.
Like anything else.
Yes.
Any manipulation to that hand.
Yes.
They could have had Wolverine claws popping out of it and it would have made more sense.
Yes, because, I mean, the thing is that there's using the modern world as a basis for your story, and then there's like, this is too close.
This is way too close.
This is the point where you might have inadvertently written fiction that ended up mirroring what's actually happening because we're living in this timeline where it's like, what's the craziest thing you could think of? No, there are murder hornets. They are here.
Yeah.
They're huge and they're here. No, that's actually happening. But like somebody needed to look at this shit and go, wait a minute, hold on.
Like I said, like I'm surprised I didn't see tweets from right-wing people going, only Sam Fisher can save America,
right?
Kind of thing. Like, because it's just so, it's such a conspiracy theory type idea that's going on like right now.
Yes.
Like it's such a terrible time for this to be a thing.
If you let's just do this mental exercise again. We're not. I don't want to wander off into like.
I'm not trying to.
No. I'm just saying that because I always get all flustered when we talk about this stuff. But like, I want you to imagine. I want people to go out and watch that trailer, and I want you to imagine if all they did in that trailer was change the name Umbra to Antifa.
Oh Jesus!
And it would like. Then it would just be like a propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Like it would just be very right lean. Like here's the thing: there's a lot of people out there who are just like, I don't want politics in my video games, right? But if all you have to do to make this game into a right wing fantasy is change. Not even all of the letters of the bad guy's name.
You could keep the entirety of the dialogue the same,
right?
Except for say it's Antifa.
Except for say it's Antifa instead of Umbra, and like that would be very clearly like a game for people who want to, who are just like, right, so I like at this point, I don't think there's a lot of discussion to be had.
There's not a lot you can say other than Ubisoft, you fucked up.
You did
in the weirdest possible way, in a way that no one could have expected a game company to do.
Also, apparently, the company that was making this is run by Yves Guillemot's son, who went directly from like college business school into being like the project director for the studio like
my God.
the day after.
That explains a lot, actually.
Yeah.
He might have been the one to see it, and he's like, poor people are the bad guy. That makes sense. And then he just went on with his day.
Yeah. So they are taking it out. He actually made a statement saying that they are taking it out, and good. I think at first they were like, we're going to take the black fists out. Then they were like, no, we're going to take the whole fucking thing out.
Yeah, the whole idea of it is bad.
So, yeah, this is one of those ones that's really goddamn weird because, there's some of these games that are general, right? Like, the government has collapsed and we're taking control of these agents that are highly trained to take back a lawless country of people with hoodies and flamethrowers torching stuff.
No.
Division is weird. I still fall in the thing where I think like Ubisoft doesn't. They need like another layer or two of abstraction between what they're doing and reality. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, they need to stop being. They need to go back into like more fantasy ideas for a little bit. Because
like Immortals, Phoenix Rising.
God damn it. They just need to pull back on some of these things, or they need to not make it such a giant scope anymore. Kind of thing, because even like when you play like old Splinter Cell games, for the most part, it wasn't the secret shadowy organizations weren't exactly like the world ending for the most part. They need to minimize where they're at again.
Yeah,
they need to like They need to focus their attention again because they're getting too broad. And the issue is when you get too broad, you start getting too close to normal things.
Well, what's so weird about this is that. Like, I haven't played the game, right? And I really would like somebody to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't get the impression that then the game is about, like, taking Sam Fisher out and shooting protesters, right?
No, I doubt that's what the actual
game is going to be taking Sam Fisher out and doing a tactics game against, like, the evil agents of Umbra, right? So, like, if they take that video out... And I don't know if there's like a story or anything. They edit the story a little bit. No. Like, it wouldn't be a thing. But then that brings up the question of like, why the fuck was it in there in the first place? So,
like I said, it's like somebody thought this was a good idea, and in a time where it probably would have made some sense.
Yeah,
because nothing like this was exactly happening.
Yes,
but now this is the worst possible time this could have happened.
Yes, absolutely. It's like the way that what's that game where you make diseases and spread them across the pandemic or whatever?
Plague Inc.
Yeah, Plague Incorporated was like, China was like, no.
Yeah,
no.
Just fucking don't. Don't even think about it.
Not right now, bitch. Like,
and Plague was like, this is a bad time for us to be popular, kind of thing.
So
they were around for a while, luckily for them. But if they had came out this year, it would have been very bad.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna take a break. We did it again. We can't get through all the stories.
Fucking hell.
So we're going to zip zap. We don't have a lot left. We're going to zip zap through the rest of those when we come back. Okay. And then we'll try to take a question or two. And then we'll be done. So we'll end on that totally uncontroversial note. We'll see you in just a minute. And Michael, now that we have collected all of our downvotes, let's continue on with the podcast.
We've angered everyone.
Yeah.
First the PC Master Race.
Yeah, pretty much everybody.
Then Tom Clancy fans.
So let's finish up this news and do some questions. Let's lighten things up a little bit with some Fall Guys news. So apparently Fall Guys is now getting a new feature. It is a giant spinning hammer that was going to randomly appear on stages, and it is called Big Yeetus.
Oh, Jesus.
And the Fall Guys put out a tweet saying Big Yeetus will randomly appear in levels to shake things up. Big Yeetus is chaotic neutral. Big Yeetus is not your friend. Big Yeetus is not your enemy. And so apparently it's just a gigantic hammer that will show up and spin around and like kind of launch you stuff.
And sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes, yep. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it hurts. So there you go.
That's such a great, terrible name for something like that.
Yeah, it is. Also, we got news that the fundraiser for Fall Guys finished, where they were basically auctioning off like some new skins with a charity donation. And apparently the winner was $1 million, and it was split 4 ways between G2 Esports, AimLab, Ninja, and Mr. Beast. All basically pooled their money together to just have this one gigantic thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Fall Guys has really been doing a lot of good stuff for people lately.
Yeah. Fall Guys is great. I don't play it personally, but you know,
we had fun with what we did.
We did indeed. Have you tried it out yourself?
No, I considered it, but I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to really have time to really delve into this for a bit. But I may still end up doing it because it's not exactly like a fighting game where I need to learn like a whole bunch of controls.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. In other online news, EA has gone and fucked me. The price of Rocket Arena, which you and I played for Patreon video, we thought was pretty good, right?
It was okay.
Yeah, it was like $30 or something.
It was like
came out, 30 or 40.
Fairly expensive.
It is now $5.
That's a great sign.
Yes, Rocket Arena is $5. I thought it was okay fun, right?
Yeah, it was okay.
It's not something that appeals to me because I don't do that much multiplayer game, but it seemed like a well-made multiplayer game.
It was like a shooter Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
For the most part, you got enough damage and you got launched
and then
out of the sky.
Yeah, you would blast people off the map, and that was how you got a point.
Yeah.
So
got air dodges and everything.
I don't know, man. Maybe you got $5. You want to try out Rocket Arena? It's $5
for $5. It's not bad.
Yeah,
it was definitely that was one of the reasons I never even considered it.
Was because of the price.
It was just too much for something like it.
Right.
I guess is a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Let's see. In other online news, Rocket League is going to be going free to play, and when it does, apparently, on the PlayStation and the Switch, you will not have to have PlayStation Gold or the Switch Online in order to play it online.
That's crazy. You should.
Yeah. So they've done. They're going to be doing an update pretty soon to make the whole thing free to play. And yeah, you can do it without having to pay any extra money. So.
Good for them. And there's a lot of cool stuff in that game. There's still some good cosmetics, I think, even to this day. There's 2 Batmobiles in it. There's an Ecto one. There's the DeLorean in it.
It was like last summer where they did the whole like 80s summer thing where they had all the different skins that you could get and like different cars.
If I remember correctly. And there's sometimes special game types that appear based on some of the skins they come out with. Rocket League has done a lot. It was like kind of like the way Fall Guys was. It was free on PlayStation Plus when it first came out, and it was a huge hit.
I think is it free next month? Is like no, it's PUBG is free next month.
Yeah, PUBG is it's actually already free now.
Oh, Street Fighter 5 and PUBG.
Yeah,
right.
They became free as of I think like a couple days ago
because it's September.
Yeah, it's September.
So yeah. Let's see. And in other Nintendo news, we actually had an update that Nintendo made to their online terms of service where you can now cancel a digital pre-order and get your money back. So as long as it's before 7 days before the game comes out is when you can start a preload. So it has to be before that.
Oh, okay.
But if you do it before that, then you can apparently get your money back from pre-order if you want. That also only applies to pre-orders that happen after you hear this podcast. So
okay.
If you have a pre-order from a long time ago, you can't cancel it now. But this is good news. Everybody knows I'm not a fan of pre-orders, but at least you can get your money back. I don't know who else if anybody else even has a pre-order refund policy
for digital stuff. I think Steam has to have one.
Well, Steam you can just return games.
Well, because it's one of those things where some places I think the only way you can do it is if you live in a certain country.
Oh, okay.
I think PlayStation has it.
Yeah, because
I think in Europe or something.
There's some countries that just don't allow a company to just do whatever the fuck they want to. Like
in some countries, it's outright illegal to not like refund no matter the process, kind of thing.
Yeah, which I'm going to put it out there again, Michael. I think that our country would be. I think that a lot of the problems in the game industry would be fixed if you could just get a refund within, say, 8 to 10 days of buying a game.
That's true.
Like an open box refund, because you could just be like, this game is shit. You give me back my money.
Like Steam has I think Steam has probably one of the best ones for it right now, which is just if you played it for longer than like 3 hours, I think.
Yeah,
like
I go a little bit further than that, where I just think you should be able to refund it, because I think that game companies will always like go out there and be like, well, people will just buy it and then beat it and then return it. And I'm like, the people that are going to do that they're going to try other ways to get around this anyway, right? Like anybody that's going to do that is going to do it anyway. That's not where you're making your money. You're not making your money through people that are just going to beat your game. Or I don't know, maybe if you make it so your game takes more than 10 days to beat, then you won't have to worry about it.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, but
so. And there I go advocating for super long games. Guy who hates super long games.
yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. Also, in other Switch news, you guys have to see if it's still going on at this point, but apparently Amazon has a deal as of us recording this, so I don't know if it's still going to be going on, where you can actually order Ring Fit Adventure as a Labor Day sale.
Oh.
And it's $10 off. It won't ship until they come back in stock, which is in October, but for anybody who's been trying to find a Ring Fit Adventure, which I know has been a really difficult thing at this point.
Yeah, Best Buy had them again for a bit, but I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, so keep an eye. And it's $70 because it's 80,
like 80
normally.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can take a check a look. Well, actually, this might be all sold out at this point, but I don't know.
Either way, you can always look.
You can check. Let's see. In additional buying some online bullshit news, we got the Michael, I know this is going to be super exciting for you. We got the headline this week that Monster Energy drink is now going to have skins in Halo. You can make your Halo guns have a Monster Energy drink skin.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Are you going to play all the way through Halo Infinite with your Monster Energy drink skin turned on?
No, but I might know a guy who still drinks them, so I might try to ask him about it. But I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. Like it's not the most insane thing I've heard.
The funniest thing is that because all of these like promotions happened, this shit is going to be happening like soon. Even though the game has been delayed.
That's true.
So you're going to have to like keep an old rancid Monster Energy drink can around for 6 months.
I assume the code. I'm sure it just has the code on something that you have or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see.
In the boxes or something, I assume. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I've been drinking a Monster Energy drink a long time.
Oh yeah, they're horrible. They're disgusting.
They're death, mostly.
I really don't like them. In other news, Microsoft Flight Simulator is getting its first big patch. I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft Flight Simulator requires a 127 gig download to get all the data onto your system.
Jesus Christ.
And it took me a week because it kept stalling and pausing and erroring, and like I would uninstall the entire game and start over, but I didn't want to restart the 127 gig download of Microsoft goddamn Flight Simulator. And this new patch is supposed to fix that, but if you did have any problems, the recommended way to fix it is to completely uninstall Microsoft Flight Simulator, delete any files that are left on your computer, and start a fresh install from scratch along with the 127 gigabyte download for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Baby Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Fuck me.
It's a lot. I am still... Somebody asked if I would play Microsoft Flight Simulator in the Discord, and I'm just like, I just can't think of a way that would be fun. Like, I guess I could fly over my house, but I don't want any of you guys knowing where I
at that
live.
point you're showing where people... You can... What you could do is you could fly over and point out all the Taco Bells and stuff that you go to.
I could point out like the bars and
exactly.
and Taco Bells. But the thing is that like how slow can you fly a Microsoft Flight Simulator?
I think it depends on the plane.
Just like, all right, everybody, here we go. 3, 2, there it goes.
It looks fairly slow from the videos I've seen, depending on your plane.
Yeah,
so.
if you have one of the little like
single prop
Cessna type of things.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that's an idea.
Never. We also got some news last week about the PlayStation. This was weird. This came from Ubisoft's support page, basically saying there was a note on there saying backwards compatibility will be available on the PS5 for supported PS4 titles, but will not be possible for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, or PlayStation games. Now, I have a lot of questions about this. One is, did we think that was a thing?
That's the thing. Okay.
Did we think that was a thing?
Yeah, here's the thing. I remember people saying, because a long time ago, they put out a patent or something that was like, maybe you could, but that's what patents are.
Right.
Patents are the, well, maybe kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people took that as, oh, by the way, that means it can play all the PlayStation games. And then everybody was super excited. And I was there in the background being like, the fuck is wrong with you people? This is clearly not going to be a thing. The fact that it works for PS4 games is great because it is backwards compatible.
Right.
The way backwards compatibility tends to be, which like between system to system, it's usually just the last thing.
Yes.
But backwards compatibility is rarely anything past the last thing. Hell, even the backwards compatibility for Xbox One for Xbox games is like 5 things almost.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Whereas like this is fine. I don't know why everyone has made it sound like they shot the PlayStation in the foot, because that was never an assumption for most people that would be a thing.
Well, let me get the other caveats out of the way. One is this is also on Ubisoft's webpage.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been confirmed, so there's a question about whether this just applies to Ubisoft games. But then the third thing that I keep kind of wondering is okay, so on the PlayStation 4 how you can get like Rogue Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Or like Red Dead Revolver as a PS2 title and download and run it. Like the Jacks. They put the Jack games on there. Are those games PS4 games or are those PS2 games? Because the PS3 has a PS2 library that is not that all those games are not on the PS4.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. That's why I was always like, because the way people were thinking backwards compatibility was going to be for this.
Yeah.
So that you can just grab a PlayStation 1 game and put it in there. I'm like, what reality did you think that was going to be a thing no matter what?
Yeah.
Like, I can see what yours, like, if it's a digital one, I'm like, that makes 100% perfect sense.
Right.
But the way some people were treating it was like as if you had, like say I wanted to play Medieval 2 and I just put my Medieval 2 disc in it,
right.
It would just play it. I'm like, look, that's a great fantasy, but I wasn't holding my breath on it, like, in any way.
The other thing that comes to mind is the fact that, like, I have done a lot of work about PS2 emulation.
Yeah.
And even on a modern PC, PS2 emulation isn't perfect. Like, it was built for this very specific hardware set.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, maybe if Sony has that, they can recreate like a PS2 engine. Okay, here's the thing: PS1 emulation should be fine. Like,
yeah, that wouldn't be too much of an issue.
Bleem was a thing. There was a company that sold a PC PS1 emulator in like the late 90s.
Yeah.
That was a retail product, right? PS2 emulation to this day doesn't work for every game perfectly. Like, a lot of games do not work at all or have like severe graphical problems. So, and the question becomes then, if you're emulating the hardware set from the PS2, is it even possible to do without having like a custom made piece of hardware? PS3 emulation is also in a weird place. Like, I've seen some videos of people running like Demon Souls at 4K, but again, it's one of those things where not everything runs because of the goofy cell processor architecture. You have to emulate like a full computer. You have to like build a virtual version of a PlayStation and then run software on that virtual version that's running through completely different hardware.
Yeah.
And it's like, because the cells had like 8 like core processors that are different than the cores that are in your system. So your system has to basically be able to create virtual cores, and then it has to be able to return all of the instructions from the game like the same way they were returned. I just don't know. I mean, like, I don't have any doubt that the Xbox Series X will be able to run everything that's currently compatible on the Xbox One, as well as the 360 games, as well as the Xbox games, because they've all been more of PCs than anything else. But I just don't know, one, whether this was ever something that people should have expected, and if it was, I'm also just trying to think of the games that you couldn't get access to through other means. Like, you say, oh, well, Crash Bandicoot 2, and it's like, well, but Crash Bandicoot 2 has been remade. You could just play the remake.
Well, there's a lot of old PS1 games that were never re-released in any capacity.
True.
Kind of thing, and a lot of them tend to be like they're cult classics in people's eyes, like Blasto.
Yeah,
is a good example of that. Blasto Medieval 2, for instance, is only on that, as well as a lot of just random ass Japanese games that existed that just never was ported to anything else, as well as just a lot of just little things. And even then, a lot of those things lately have been having a bigger push at being remastered, like when Final Fantasy VIII came out finally recently.
Oh, yeah.
Then the Final Fantasy IX already has one like that.
Yeah.
There are PS1 games that are slowly making its way back up, but there's a lot that people I know would like to play again, like how the X-Men Mutant Academy fighting games. Sure, they weren't the best games, but a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia attached to those kinds of things. And but that's what I thought was interesting, is that so many people thought that's what backwards compatibility could mean for them.
Right.
But I'm like, but I don't see that happening at all. Like I never saw that being a possibility for that system.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I mean, full cards on the table. I don't really care because I'm always moving forward. I don't want to go back. Like, and I have a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 2 and a PSX Classic and a Raspberry Pi and everything, right? So, but I mean, like, people seem to get really like mad about this, like mad at Sony that Sony has the gall to like restrict the backwards compatibility. But like, I can't play GameCube games on my Switch, right?
Yeah,
like they just announced 3 old ass Mario games that there's no reason I shouldn't be able to play those. But you know, what about everything else that came out on the Wii?
That's the thing about, and that's honestly, it's
like I can't play Eternal Darkness on my Switch, right?
The argument really comes down to the fact that it hasn't happened. Like, there's no console on the planet that's designed to play everything from beginning to end.
Right.
There's nothing. Like, not even the Xbox is backwards compatibility is not designed like that.
Yeah.
I can't buy a copy of Capcom versus SNK Chaos and play it on an Xbox One. It's not designed that way.
I told you before, they let me buy Burnout 3 Takedown, and then when I try to launch it on my Xbox One, it says plug in an original Xbox hard drive to continue. I'm like,
exactly.
What?
It's crazy as shit. Like, nothing. There's no system on the planet. Like, because I talk to people where they're like, well, I'm glad about an Xbox One because it's backwards compatible. I'm like, it's backwards compatible with like an asterisk.
Right.
Like your version of backwards compatible is not what it does. Like, nobody's perfect vision of backwards compatibility exists,
except for the PC.
Well, but like you said, even that doesn't work the way. Like, there's nothing it can. They can't emulate everything.
Oh, I'm talking about for PC games.
Oh, you're talking about. Well, even then, like, there are some games that people have issues
like
being
DOS
able to play.
You gotta get
old PC games. Like, you have to do a lot of things. Eventually, you can get it to do it.
Yeah.
But even the perfect version of backwards compatibility is just you put it in the old disc and then it'll just run without any finicking with anything.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That doesn't exist even for the PC.
Yeah.
Like I, as much as you guys would love that, as much as I would love that,
sure,
it's never going to happen.
I don't think so. Just because, you know what, it might. If, like, I almost think if our next generation systems are all, if we really are moving to the generation after this current next coming up generation is stream tech, and they finally get it figured out, then it's like, okay, I can see that being a thing where you could play anything because you could literally build servers that do PS2 emulation from the ground up and stream it to you.
Even then, that's tricky, though, because there was the whole thing. One of the reasons the Xbox One doesn't do the way most people do, or the way that most people want it to, is they have to ask the companies if it's all right.
Well, yeah. There's also licensing and all that bullshit.
But that's the thing, is a lot of people's version of backwards compatibility doesn't factor that in.
Right.
And like, as much as we would like it to just be, hey, if I have the disc, I should just be able to play it. Like, there are a lot of weird red tapes that you'd have to get past.
Yep. Let's see. Another PlayStation news. This is some bullshit. I'm not going to talk about this. Another PlayStation news. We got a 7-minute Ratchet and Clank extended gameplay demo from Gamescom. One of the things from Gamescom that I really liked. It looks pretty amazing. Like, nothing. I mean, like, obviously this isn't like, oh my god, I'm staring directly into the future, but it's like, this is the best looking, best playing Ratchet and Clank game I've ever seen.
Well, it's the best looking, like, next gen thing that looks like, okay, this makes sense as to why this is next gen,
right?
Thing. Like everybody's upset when they consistently look at other things. They're like, this is going to be on this console. They're like, it doesn't look like it's the next genest thing ever. This thing, yeah, it kind of does. It kind of looks like the next genest thing.
You're
and
super
I like
salty
that.
about that Halo, Michael.
I am a little salty about people's fucking expectations for Halo Infinite, but
yeah.
But like, I somewhat get it though. Is the thing like but you know, there's a lot of games that we won't see that exact difference for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I saw Uncharted 1, I was like, this is the fucking future kind of thing, and we're not going to get that just yet, but one day we most likely will for most consoles.
You have to buy that RTX 3090 card that could do 8K 60 FPS.
Yeah, sure.
And a fucking 2,000 watt power supply to run your 12 core i9 and your fucking 2 terabytes of RAM.
That'll make that brute look like he's just hanging out with me right next to me.
Yep, and then you got to get the Valve Index VR headset with the super high resolution.
I gotta get that Ready Player One suit that like you feel the feedback or whatever.
And then watch a lot of pornography.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Ratchet & Clank demo looks really good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Ratchet & Clank is back because I love it, and it was been relatively gone for this entire franchise.
It had one
generation
thing on the PS4
movie tie-in remake of the first game.
Yeah, which is crazy that was the only thing we got from them.
Yeah. But this looks really good. I like the way that it's like none of the characters or anything are outside of the realm of what you might see on a current gen system, but then like all of the particles and the lighting and the weird loads through the portals and stuff, and like when you break a box, it breaks into billions of polygons, and
it's very impressive what they're able to do with some of the stuff that's going on in here.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for the idea of it.
Me too. Well, how excited are you for The Predator? We got a trailer for the Dutch 87 skin for Predator because they have the new Dutch skin.
Yes.
But up until now, they hadn't put out the like dirty, filthy Predator 1 Predator Arnie skin. And now they're putting it out, and it's all Uncanny Valley and weird Arnold Schwarzenegger voice acting. And
well, no, it actually is Arnold.
Yeah.
Which, but he is older, so does make it kind of interesting. He has to sound like a younger version of himself.
I want the old Arnold skin, but not like the Dutch skin. I just want old Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Him wearing a governor suit.
Yeah. I don't know. I keep wondering if I should go back to Predator. I haven't played it since it came out, and it was super janky when it came out, and I wonder if they de-janked it.
I almost bought it a bunch of times, but the issue with a game like that is that, do I know anyone who plays this kind of thing? And that's really the hardest thing about it.
Yeah. We also, as I talked about before, we got the announcement that they are basically re-releasing Turrican. Did you ever Turrican? Do you even Turrican, bro?
No. Honestly, no.
This trailer made me wonder whether, like, apparently Turrican just did a lot of stuff. Like, it was a side scroller, but then it also had like Battletoads jet bikes and like swinging on stuff, and it was blasting on stuff.
I never even played these.
Apparently, it was a big Amiga game. That was like the big thing. So
that's probably
big
why.
In Europe.
That's definitely why. Then.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to take a look.
Maybe people will love it.
Yeah. There's going to be and Strictly Limited is going to do a collector's edition for €100 and an ultra collector's edition for €200.
Ooh.
So it's supposed to be shipping February or March of next year. I actually mentioned this to Michael earlier, but I'm mentioning it to the world right now. I'm super excited because a Twitter handle has been registered. There's a Final Fantasy 16 placeholder Twitter handle, which seems like it might be like the actual Twitter address is at ff16_JP, which like when 15 was a thing, it was at ff15_ENUS, right? Like, so there's nothing there. There's nothing. There's zero. Yeah. All this is that a Twitter account has been registered, but
that means somebody's thinking of it at least. Minimum.
Just please don't let it be Nomura. I don't want it to be Nomura.
God, please don't
make it somebody besides Nomura, please.
Just keep him on Final Fantasy VII.
He's
so
got
it never comes out.
8 more installments of Final Fantasy VII to make. I just want somebody to get some new ideas, and come on in. You know what? I'd even be willing to just do a straight medieval Final Fantasy at this point.
I'd be cool with that. Yeah.
Like no cyber futures, no gun blades, just like old. I got a mage and a warrior, and we're gonna fantasy finally. Yeah. So. That's some good news. Some bad news. Unfortunately, Vlambeer, who is the development group that did Nuclear Throne and Luftrausers and a few other things, have shut down. They're 10 years old, and they basically kind of just went through it all, and they've decided to wrap it up. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Those are some pretty good games, and you can get them all on Steam still.
Yeah.
So give it a shot. Let's see. Chivalry 2 has been delayed. So if you were looking to play Chivalry 2, you were not going to be able to do that for a little while.
I got nothing. Don't look at me.
Yeah. But what you can play right now, Michael, or what you could have played earlier this week, and I'm really mad that I didn't know about it before it got delisted off of Steam, was some fucking joker out there put a thing on Steam called Biohazard Village. And it was like a third-person zombie shooting game called Biohazard Village that was put on Steam for like $170.
Oh my God.
Earlier this week. It has since been pulled from Steam, but apparently it was there for like a day or two.
I'm a little disappointed that it was pulled.
Yeah,
because that's such an amazing troll thing to do.
Yeah, apparently the developer Forest Games, their other game called Panic Station, remains on Steam with mixed stuff. I've never looked at this. Is from August 25th of this year.
Jesus.
It looks like one of these. Okay. Boy, there's really very little to this. So, yeah, I kind of wish that I had a chance to play that before it went away.
The balls on that developer.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously one of those, like, Panic Station is $2. Is $1.99 US. So,
Jesus.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's going to cost you more than $1.99 is 8-Bit Do this week also announced that they are putting out a fight game pad. And I love it because it looks like an NES Advantage, sort of.
It does, yeah, actually.
But the kind of cool thing about this is that it's got some kind of like some switches and some kind of function stuff and like kind of what you would expect from a fighting controller. But apparently it's also just like fully moddable. Like they expect you, if you want to replace the buttons, you can just pull it apart, put in new buttons. If you want to replace some of the switches and stuff,
good for them.
You can do that. So, which is pretty cool. And let's see. Two more quick fun things. I showed Michael a little bit of this streamer, CZR, who did a speed run of Super Mario 64 controlling Mario with a set of electric drums.
It's fucking insane, people.
It's pretty crazy. He literally is using like the drums for like back, forward, left, right. Like the kick drum is the A button, and like the cymbals are the B and the start button and stuff.
Yeah, like he has to hit one of the cymbals to reset the camera.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing.
Yep, and he actually manages to control it pretty well too. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. I thought he would like if somebody gave this to me, I'd be flying all over the place.
Yeah,
but he's like he's moving in one direction and doing quick turns and jumping, and
he's doing
fucking crazy.
He's doing skips.
Yeah,
like he's doing like skips to speedrun Mario 64. So if you want a little something to warm you up for Mario 64 coming, you can always check this out. Let's see what YouTube channel this is on. Make sure that I can make it say right. Oh, it's just CZR. Okay. Wow. This guy needs more subscribers. He's got 497 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy as shit.
I've got more subscribers than that. Of course, his video has 27,000 views, which is like every video I've put out for the last 4 months.
How does he only have 400? Never mind.
I have no idea. Well, probably because it got embedded in web pages like, hey, check this out.
Oh, yeah,
and people were like, play. True. Oh, that's cool. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications, y'all.
Let that man buy more drums.
Yep. And last but not least, Michael, you mentioned it earlier, but unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman passed away last week. It was a real bummer. Apparently, in Fortnite, they put in the gigantic Black Panther statue, which is kind of part of they're doing this whole Marvel Avengers Galactus thing this week, and that's a nice thing.
It's very nice.
So. All right, let's do some questions. Let's do a few questions before we wrap it up here. Let's see. Wiener Schnitzel writes in and says, hey, Jeff and Michael, after a few busy months, I recently had time to sit down and play some video games again. In spring, I started to play Hollow Knight, and I picked it up, tried to finish it, and got my ass royally handed to me. The Dream Warriors are impossible for me, and I really want to finish it with a good ending. Did you ever encounter a similar situation? How did you get through it? Did you just get good? Did you restart the game? Did you give up on it? Or did you pay a Let's Player to do a sequential for it? It's an interesting solution.
That is weird.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
That is an interesting thing to do.
Anyway, I could use some advice because I really want to finish Hollow Knight, but currently suck too much to do so. Best wishes, Wiener Schnitzel. Now, we did not answer this last week.
No,
right?
we did not.
Okay, I remember we talked a little bit about getting stuck in games last week, but
We did, but I think it was for something else entirely.
So,
Well, no, you got stuck in stuck to get like the perfect ending in something.
yeah.
That happens a lot in a lot of like older ones, mostly like all the Crash Bandicoot games. I'm going to bring it up again. You have to get all the gems and you have to get all the relics to always get the 100% endings. Never got them in 1 or 2. Like it's just fucking like impossible to do it legitimately. Luckily, 1 had a cheat code to just do it. 2 did not, but 3 is really simple to do it on. Luckily, but whenever I got stuck, if it was ridiculously difficult, I just gave up. Because there's some that are just like, I just can't do this.
Yeah.
And there's some that I was stubborn and I did it, which is like, for instance, this was super recently. It was the God of War.
Oh, the Valkyries?
Kill all the Valkyries.
Yeah.
But I had a friend give me a tip where he's like, well, there's a specific armor you can get that like basically refreshes your ruins real fast.
Oh.
And so I fucking slaughtered them all.
There you go.
Until I got to the queen. And then the queen was just a test of fucking patience.
Yeah.
Because holy goddamn hell. That took like a week to kill that thing.
I mean, I think that this question gets to a thing that I've had to consider more and more the older I get. Like, I have, I have a business based on playing video games, but there are points in a video game where I can feel it. It's that scene from Galaxy Quest where the chompers come down and Sigourney Weaver says, well, screw that. But she actually says, well, fuck that. And in my brain, I'm just like, no, fuck that.
No.
Like, no. I will go look at the 100% ending on YouTube. Like, no, this is unacceptable.
This is a wonderful time for that, by the way.
Yes.
You can finally be like, I don't need to do this to see this ending.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go look it up real quick.
I think that the last time that something like that happened to me where I got really mad at the game was Blair Witch.
Okay, you're telling me that.
Yeah. First, the final level of Blair Witch glitched, and the only way that I could have gotten to it was to restart the game, basically. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And everybody's like, but the last level is the best part. And I'm like, yes, I'm not going to play through a game that I kind of hated a second time
to get to the best part.
And then I found out there are multiple endings, and like the only way to get the good ending was to not aggressively hurt the bad guys that are trying to kill you. Like over the course of the game, and I'm like, how was I supposed to fucking know that?
Yeah,
like you're like, shine your light on them, it'll hurt them, and I'm like, okay, good, they're trying to murder me, and then it's like, oh, that made you into a psychopathic killer. You got the bad ending, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I hate when stuff like that.
No. Also, any game that requires a horrendous amount of bullshit to get the 100% best ending, okay. No, like I wouldn't do it in Arkham Knight. Like I was just like, no.
I did it.
I refuse. I hated the Riddler challenges. I thought you went overboard in City, and then
See, I never did it in City though. I tried desperately, and there was too fucking impossible after a while.
I did it in Asylum, and it was
easy
fine.
In Asylum, yeah.
Or like shoot 100 pigeons in Grand Theft Auto, and I'm just like, no, I refuse.
You know, one of the hardest achievements to get on the planet is. And there's an achievement in Superman Returns to collect all the cats because there's like stray cats all over the place.
Okay.
And there's so many of them that it's like nigh impossible to do it on your own. Like you have to just buy a guide to fucking do it.
So I think the thing is that there's a point where some developers get fucked up in the head. I honestly do not understand this, right? Why? If you wanted me to see the true, like, okay, I understand not being able to see the nuclear dearmament ending of Metal Gear Solid 5 until that happens, right? That was not important to the story of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
but not being able to see the true ending of Arkham Knight until you do what is essentially like bullshit busy work, like for hours. I do not understand that. And that's the point where I get mad at a developer of being like, my time is worth something, right? And like, I'm giving it to you because what you're giving me in return is fun. And the minute when a game is like, okay, now do work, and I'm like, no, I will not. I will not do work. There is a reason why I let the crazy patrons at patreon.com/RageSelect build Grant and I a Minecraft roller coaster to show us the end of Minecraft, because it was
very nice of you guys.
It was super nice. Because I'm just not going to do it. Like, it's not fun.
Yeah.
It gets not fun. And some people, they get rewarded, but I feel like I have a threshold of like, oh, I overcame that challenge. How good am I? What a great feeling this is. And then there's a point where the frustration meter gets high enough where I'm like, no. No, I don't care what the end of Sekiro is anymore. I just don't give a shit. I was so mad at Sekiro I didn't even watch the ending on YouTube.
Oh, really?
I don't even know what happens at the end of that game. I was just like, no, you can go fuck yourself is what you can do. I do not give a shit about you anymore. Like,
for me, it depends on how much work it takes to get the true ending.
Yeah.
Because there's some games where the true ending, it's not that much more out of the way. It's just like, sometimes it's just a series of steps.
Sure.
That you need to do. For instance, a lot of the old Castlevania games have the Metroidvania ones have different endings, and all you have to do is do certain steps. Like Portrait of Ruin has one of my favorite ones, whereas you have to the way you get the true ending is you have to not kill the sisters. You have to actually cleanse them, and then they give you the ability to get the full powered vampire killer.
Okay,
and then you go beat up Dracula with it, kind of thing. And that's not super out of the way. You just have to be kind of careful to not like do certain things that like sometimes you just have to hold back on what your thought process is, kind of thing. Because in most games, if you're like, oh, this is the boss, I just have to murder the shit out of them. Where this game was like, well, this specific boss, you just don't kill them,
right?
Just do this specific thing and then hope for the best, kind of thing. But if it's like you said, like Arkham Knight or Arkham City, it's like, yeah, the only way to get this specific thing is you got to spend like 7 hours collecting all of the things. It's like, but I don't want to do all that. Like, and the only reason I did it with Arkham Knight was because I had a lot of free time, and I had a lot of podcasts I used to listen to all the time. So I would spend my time just put on like I guess I think the Leog was still on at this point.
Oh, okay.
Just listen to the Leog or your stuff, the loading bar, and then just drive around in the Batmobile and be like, oh, there's one, and then just take care of it. It's like, oh, there's one, and take care of it. So by the time I was done, I finally did them all. But they weren't like ridiculously hard, but I also had, like I said, all the time in the world.
Right.
Whereas if you asked me to do that now, I would tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And the only reason I got 100% on Spider-Man is because there isn't that much to do busy work wise.
No, it's all like the submissions are quick and they're easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, I didn't even 5-star all of the Taskmaster challenges.
No, I didn't either.
And then when the DLC came out, it's like Screwball just gave me enough of the whatever the things are to get the rest of the costumes.
My dumbass didn't know that the DLC was going to do that.
Yeah,
and so I unlocked everything. I didn't 5-star everything, but I had the 5-star giant chunks of them to do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to shoot myself because of how fucking difficult it was to do some of these. Like, I redid some of those Taskmaster things like 20 times before I finally was like, yay, I finally got the one token to get this thing. So when the DLC came out, it was like, yeah, they're just like throwing tokens at me, and I'm like, I don't need these anymore.
Yeah. The way I like it is when is either like is when a game either does like Doom, where they just show you where everything is on the map, and then you can just like have to figure out how to get there, and it's not that hard to do. Or I'm fine when games are like, for $2,000, I will sell you a map that shows where all the collectibles are, and I'm like, okay, yes, take this money immediately,
yes, please,
and then I will go get them all. I don't care. Or like in Ghost of Tsushima, there was a thing where when you put on the Traveler's outfit, you could just be like, wind, show me shrines. And then whenever you swiped up, the wind would just show you wherever the nearest thing that you didn't already have was. You'd follow it. You just get all of them. And then eventually the game would be like, you got all of them. And I was like, okay, I did it.
You remember when you weren't sure if what they was part of the true ending, though? That was a weird time.
What's that?
Where there were times where you would play a game and you're like, well, I don't know how to get the true ending, so I'm just going to do everything and hope that it gets me the true ending. That was a weird time frame before the internet really told you these things.
I didn't get any true endings during that time.
There was a time frame. People don't remember this now because the internet now tells us if there's a true ending. But I remember the days where you're just like, is there a true ending, or do I have to collect all like 1,000 feathers?
Right.
To make sure I get the true ending, and I'm really glad we don't have to anymore.
Yeah. Let's answer the opposite of that question, because Marcus writes in and says, "What up, Jeff and Michael, Masters of Rage? Name a moment in a video game that made you go, I love this game." For me, one example is Children of Morta, where the Bergson family comes together and defeats, it's towards the end of the game. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's fine. As family is important to me, this moment hit home for me. Well, what is your answer? Thanks for all the hard work you all do keeping us entertained during COVID. COVID is a punk-ass mofo, but COVID won't stop Rage Select. Keep up the great work. Happy to remain a patron. And then we got hashtag Jeff rules, hashtag Jeff is awesome in Dongacle's name from Marcus. Okay? And I can't, yeah. I don't know. I don't get that one. All right, moment that you were like, holy shit, I love this game. I actually had one of those last week. When I played Captain Tsubasa Rise of Champions with Matt, where I really didn't intend to play that much of that game. And then I was like, oh, right, soccer is a fun game. And then it's just nothing but shonen bullshit on top of that. And everybody knows that shonen bullshit can make like cup flipping into like the most epic thing that's ever happened. I mean, cup flipping is pretty epic by default, but it could make the the water bottle flips, right? Anime could make that into like a fucking 12-season tournament arc, and then it's
There'd be a whole training montage of him trying to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it'd be really interesting.
And like his best friend is his mortal enemy, and then at some point there's a guy that can flip it without even touching the bottle,
not even looking at it.
And then he's got to tap. And it turns out his ancestors used to flip sake bottles, and then it's a whole thing, and
It's a whole thing.
Yes.
Somebody write that, by the way. I want to read that.
I mean, that's the thing, is you take anime as such a formula where it's like, I don't know why the Western media can't make everything as epic as anime is, because every anime I watch is fucking epic as shit.
There's literally an anime about a dude who basically plays chess. I don't remember what the actual game that he's playing is, but it's literally just him playing this board game thing, and they make it one of the most epic things
last
ever.
week, isn't Beyblade is about dudes spinning tops at each other?
Yes, Beyblade is a good example of that.
Or how everybody horns up into unconsciousness in Food Wars when they eat some spaghetti, and then they just have the world's biggest orgasm and fall over, and I'm just like, what? Okay,
anime
sure.
is the best, guys.
Let's see some I love this game moments. What was the last game that you were just like, man, I'm super into this?
I was part of Doom 2016. I know it wasn't Doom 2016. I think it was part of Doom Eternal when I first got the new BFG. When you get the new BFG, and he's just like, he's like, well, what are you gonna do? He's like, well, you're gonna shoot yourself at Mars. And then he just takes and he just fucking jumps into it. And you're like, this is the best fucking thing ever. Because I was already in love with that game, but I was like, I am in love with this fucking game.
See, I think that I started my love affair with Doom in the first one when Samuel Hayden is trying to tell him how to decouple that power thing, and he just fucking kicks it.
He's just the thing keeps trying to pop up, and he just shoves it away. I'm not dealing with your shit right now.
Fucking breaks open the Argent energy container, and he's like, "We need that." And he's like, "No, you don't."
There's a lot of games where I like, for instance, one of the ones that I remember. The moment I fell in love with the Wonderful 101 originally, is a good moment. It was when you're doing the boss fight and the first time tables turn starts, and you're just like, this is fucking amazing. I am just so fucking excited to murder the shit out of this villain. Yeah. And I remember just being pumped as fuck at the first time that ever happened. I was just like, I love this game. I don't care how hard this game becomes later on. This is my jam. Yeah. And it stayed like that the whole rest of the way. Kakarot had I think a fun moment like that where the first time you have to when you finally get to punch Frieza in the gut really hard during that little quick cutscene thing, and I was like, I love this so much.
Saying that reminds me of how I was really unsure about Bayonetta in the prologue, and then they go to the graveyard, and I was just like, this fucking Joe Pesci guy, and he's talking, and then the angels show up, and she jumps up in the air, and they cut all her clothes off, and then it just starts playing that fucking Fly Me to the Moon wacky jazz song, and she's just like throwing all the guns to her, and I'm just like, oh man, this is great. I was actually thinking recently, one of the things that I was reminded of was like, I liked Control a lot from the moment that I started playing it, but when they gave me the throw stuff ability, and like it was the first time where there was a guy in front of me and I hit the button to pull something towards me, and it came from behind and knocked an enemy out as I was pulling it in, and I was just like, oh yes, oh yes. Or like I think that game developers really should take a note from that mechanic in that game, because the way that like when you hold down the throw button, you don't have to target anything, and like shit will just come from the side or from all the way on the other side of the map, or like once you get the power where somebody's low health, or you just like grab that guy that's shooting you and then just wow. Did you know that now that in Control you can pick up the 3 things up?
Really?
Yeah, when they put out the AWE expansion, they gave a bonus power to throw, where if you hold down the R1 button and then you tap the L2 button, you can bring in another thing, and you can be carrying around 3 things. So like Amanda and I were playing the DLC, and it's all in the in these caves, and there's stalactites, and I like pulled down 3 stalactites. It's just this big like triple spike, and I was just like, "Where are you, Hiss? Where are you?"
There's another great. This is again from Platinum. Another great fucking moment that made me go, okay, I'm gonna love everything about this. Is in one of our sequentials, but when I first played it, which is in Metal Gear Revengeance.
Oh yeah,
when you fucking throw a Metal Gear Ray.
Oh, that first level.
That first level when he fucking throws that Metal Gear Ray, and you're like, oh my god, I love everything about this.
Is it? What's the one where he's doing the? Is it Revengeance where he's doing the like, the breakdancing backspin with like 2
no,
Metal Gears?
That's 4.
That's in 4, isn't it?
Yeah. 4's really good about moments like that too.
Where they like shoot him. Oh, it's the what are those things called? The mooing.
Yeah, the geckos.
Geckos, yeah. And then he fucking spins them all around.
Just break dances, and your snake's like, what the fuck is happening? There's so many great things like that. I know Metal Gear Solid 1 had a lot of those moments too, where you're just like, or you're just fucking finding so many people. Like when the first time you see Gray Fox, and you're just like, I'm gonna punch that thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is you can kind of like take, I think, how does, I'm sure for you, one moment like that, even though I don't know if there's probably ever a moment where you had hesitation, when you jump out of your apartment in Spider-Man, and then the first time you like hit the webs, and you're just like, oh shit, it's good. It's good, y'all.
You're just like, oh, that feels nice. There's a lot of Spider-Man games where I was like, I really love this. I think when Shattered Dimensions, the first time I was like, I really love this, is when it goes. This is only in this one game.
Yeah,
where like it goes into this first person, and you just have him punching the shit out of them. And it's just this fun little just like beat the shit out of the moments. I think that was how I felt about the first Donkey Kong Country Returns, which is that when you beat a boss, like you can just hit a bunch of buttons to beat the shit out of them before you launch them. That was another great moment that I was like, I love everything about this.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna I'll be real up front here. I didn't love Hitman 2016 until Sapienza.
Oh, really?
Until the 3rd level, like, because the first level is all those just fucking cardboard cutout bullshits, and it looks stupid. And then the 2nd level is the Paris, and Paris is. There was the moment in Paris where you walk down the runway as Agent 47, which is kind of amazing, or you get Helmut Kruger and you get his face and everything. But it was when Sapienza came out, and it was just like, oh my God, this is like, because it's like you start and you're in the square, and there's like the house, and you just mainline into the house, and you're like, oh, there's a whole town, and there's like a church, and I can like lure the guy up to the church, and you can like get up on the church with a sniper rifle and shoot the side of this guy's planetarium, and it opens the door, and then a telescope comes out, and then the target goes up and looks through the telescope, and at the end of the telescope you just see a big eyeball, and then you shoot a sniper rifle bullet into the eyeball and it goes down the telescope and blaps the guy, and you're just like, oh,
that's amazing,
man.
I love when games have shit like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I know Grand Theft Auto, the first time I played Grand Theft Auto 1, and I mean like original like Grand Theft
Top
Auto
down,
1, I was like the moment you really start just getting chased by the cops, you're just like, this is just fun.
I think if I had to say a moment from the original Grand Theft Auto, it would be the first time I got the Garunga.
Oh yeah. that was man.
It's really weird.
You guys don't even remember how that shit was. This shit was crazy.
Yep. All right, let's do. Oh boy, that's a very long Discord question.
Fuck me sideways.
Okay, that one's a whole story. Okay, I tell you what. This one. Let's see. Who is that from? Fabio Mama. We're gonna come back to you. Well, I'm gonna come back to you. Persian King 44 has a shorter question that kind of lines up with our rest of our questions, and then we'll wrap it up here. Persian King 44 says, has there ever been an ending that genuinely ruined an otherwise great video game, TV series, anime, or film for you guys? Well, it'd be easy to go with Game of Thrones. I'd rather not rant about that. So instead of going with that, I'm probably one of the few people who wasn't a fan of the Watchmen show's ending, even though I still kind of like the show overall. Without spoiling it, it just felt like the entire series had something much more interesting to say about America's history with racism, and actually was saying something about that for the most part, until the final few episodes took such a hard turn that I was left underwhelmed and seriously questioning how much the writers and director actually knew about certain characters from the graphic novel, since the show is a sequel series to it, therefore making everything about the graphic novel part of the show's canon. Apologies for the long question, and keep up the good work making great content. And that's from Persian King 44. So many answers. There's so many answers. There's so many answers.
I'm going to bring this up real quick because of his answer, at least the Watchmen thing.
Yeah.
I kind of get what he means somewhat with the Watchmen thing.
Yeah.
I remember being actually underwhelmed originally by the ending.
Yeah.
But I ended up, after I watched it again, I was like, actually, I really like this. But I kind of get where he's coming from. It didn't ruin anything for me. It's just, I was more hyped for something that just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Kind of thing. I think Doomsday Clock did a better job of giving me what I wanted for that sort of thing.
When I watched Watchmen, I binge watched it after it was over. And I think it came off better because it was just back to back to back to back. I wasn't anticipating. I didn't have to wait a week. I wasn't all like building it up.
Which makes sense.
You know,
because I watched it week to week, and it was my fucking just excitement of all time. But no, I get it. I get what he means. But
let's see. We've already talked about a film. We started with the film,
and I'm not going to bring it up again because if I do, we're going to be here all day. But Dexter is a perfect example of me being like, this show is great.
Yep.
But I think one of the things about Dexter is that Dexter in its later seasons in general wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly like it wasn't exactly like the ending ruined the series per se. It's just that the ending was the ultimate outcome of just some really bad seasons.
Right.
It's still a terrible ending that makes you kind of not be a big fan of the series overall, but yeah. But that's definitely one of my biggest answers for that.
I'm trying to think. See, this is okay. One of the difficulties with parts of this question, I can name you a lot of games that fucked up the ending because games don't land the ending very well.
Especially like series and series ones. Mass Effect 3, I'm looking at you, you son of a bitch.
Anime is hard because I don't tend to watch anime that are bad. So
that's fair.
Like I'll stop watching an anime I don't enjoy so that I'm not disappointed. And I'm trying to think of like that's the thing is that anime, more than a lot of other things, tends to stick the landing well. They
do a really good job at it for the most part.
Cowboy Bebop had a great ending. Gurren Lagann had a great ending.
For the most part, it's because a lot of the ones with the greatest endings don't stick around for very long.
Yeah.
Like they're usually 26 episodes, like Cowboy Bebop is 26 episodes.
Trigun
is 26 episodes.
Had a great ending.
Scribe is 26 episodes.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. This may seem really weird. I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this. I don't mind it personally, but I know that a lot of people don't like the second half of Death Note.
Okay.
Where it switches. But no matter what you think, I mean, like, I thought the last episode where Light just fucking devolves and is cornered and cornered and cornered again until there's nowhere left to go.
Death Note has a fantastic ending.
Yeah.
Because the second half, you feel... The reason a lot of people don't like the second half is because it's too much about... Like, Light is too in control, I guess, is a way of putting it.
Right.
For the most...
Well, plus L is... I mean, guys, this is going to be kind of spoilery, but like...
It's super old by this point.
L is such a great character that when they switch... Like, I feel like a lot of people hate the other two, right?
Yeah.
I didn't mind them, but I wasn't just like the L fanboy. Like, I liked L, but
he was the more interesting guy, and then once he's gone, you're just sort of like, well... fine, I guess.
Yeah.
And it is, and you're kind of just like, well, this is okay. But then when the final part happens, you're just like, yes, yes, good, and you're just so fucking excited for what's happening.
Yeah.
That it makes a great fucking ending. Like, there's very few animes I can look at that I'm just like, yeah, that thing was good until the ending happened. Like, I think Attack on Titan it's not over.
It's not done yet.
It's not over yet, but it has that moment where for some people it makes or breaks it, which is the reveal.
Boy, the end of the last season.
And that reveal is
holy
fucking
shit.
something.
Yes, it is.
It's a good way of putting it, but it's not over. Is the thing. It could easily take what it's revealed and stick a landing kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even some of the shows that I like, there's some shows that the ending is kind of just like, well, that was anticlimactic. Like the ending of Dragon Ball Z is a great example of like, well, that was anticlimactic because Dragon Ball all the way to Dragon Ball Z is this adventure, like the Dragon Ball is an adventure thing, and like it has an ending has a decent ending where he gets married and everything's fine. Whereas the ending of Dragon Ball Z is very, very strange because Dragon Ball Z is for the most part is this giant action adventure thing. And then the last episode is that it's a time lapse, or it's a time skip. Not time lapse. It's a time skip from
Goku's son goes to Hogwarts.
No, it's after Boo's killed. It's like, and then 10 or 5 years passes down the line, and so Goku's a grandfather, and everybody's like, great. And turns out Boo was reincarnated. And Goku decides, like, hey, everybody I know and love, I'm just going to go fuck off with this kid now. And I'm going to go train him. Later, yos. And he just fucking leaves.
Okay.
And you're just like, what? Like, what? Like, it's anticlimactic because you're expecting something epic. Instead, it's just him deciding to leave his family because he wants to train this kid so he can fight him, kind of thing. And but when you look at it from the view of Goku, it makes sense at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, Goku, his entire life is about fighting, and now he has this little protege that he can train to protect the world, but also he can fight him, kind of thing. And it's very much Goku, and so it makes it a good ending to me. But for some people, they think that's a bad ending. But like
I can see it.
Exactly. Like, it's one of those things, and that's the thing about endings in general.
Yeah.
Is that endings are up to the person whether or not they like them. Like, I've spoken to people who thought Mass Effect's ending wasn't bad. Even if, like, and I mean the original Mass Effect 3 ending, not the
extended after Leviathan.
They added the epilogue and everything. And I talked to, and I remember asking them about it, and they had their reasons were very much just like, well, I didn't need to really know what happened, kind of thing. Like, my ending was the ending to my guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's kind of fair, but and that's the thing with a lot of other things, like even with animes. Like, I spoke to somebody who thought the Cowboy Bebop's ending was bad.
Really?
But that's because they really liked Spike. And they were like, well, it's a downer ending. I'm like, yeah, fine.
He's
it's a downer
tragic character. There was no happy ending for Spike Spiegel.
Yeah,
like, come on, guys.
And then and I've spoken to people who thought Trigun's ending was a little anticlimactic, somewhat, and which I think is fucking crazy because the last episode of Trigun is fucking batshit insane.
Yeah, I was just trying to go through my head and think of how many animes I know that have a definitive ending, because a lot of the stuff I'm watching right now is still going on. Like,
very few of them.
Like Kill la Kill had a good ending.
Has a good ending.
And
Gurren Lagann has a very batshit insane ending. But I like it.
FMA Brotherhood really built up. Great
all the
ending.
Full Metals.
Yeah,
they all have pretty fun endings.
Hellsing Ultimate goes to a very strange ending.
Ooh, that one comes to a very strange ending, but it's fun as shit. It's dark as hell, but it's fun as shit.
Yeah,
like, animes are really good about that, but normal television shows are really, really bad at sticking endings. Like How I Met Your Mother. I know we brought this up before on another thing, but their ending, my God. And the thing is that like what sucks about that show is that it's clear that this was their ending from the get-go.
Right.
It's just that it ruins the rest of the show because they've built up so much more to it.
Yeah.
That the ending ruins the other things they built. Like if that show ended at season 4 or 5, that ending would have been fine.
Yes. Yeah.
But the fact that it goes out of its way to tell you that Robin and Barney are good to be together, and it goes out of your way to tell you that Ted and Robin aren't a good couple, kind of thing. But then the end decides to like reverse that entirely. It's like, well, what was the point of all that? And it ruins much. It ruins a lot of the show.
Yeah.
And even now, I haven't sat and watched any of How I Met Your Mother in so long because the ending just left such a bad taste in my mouth. And it's not exactly like the worst ending in the world, but overall it feels like a bad ending.
I think that it's funny. I don't want this to be like a bad ending, and I know that you haven't seen this before, but I have talked about it before. I fucking love Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, like the Dominion Wars are like the last 4 seasons, right? And they finish in the last episode, they finish the Dominion Wars, but there's been this subplot going on about these evil aliens that are like working behind the scenes, and they've like possessed this guy, and they're called the Pa Wraiths, and he's just like, oh, so the show is going on, and they finish, they beat the founders, they sign the treaty, Odo's getting ready to leave, and Cisco goes, oh yeah, I've got to go fight Gold Dukat on the side of a volcano for 10 minutes and like throw him in, and then I guess those aliens are dead, the end. And I'm like, wait, what? Like they build a whole season where obviously like if the war ended, then the Power Race were going to be the bad guys for the next season. Yeah. But they just had to wrap it up, and they ran out of time, and so it feels like just this fucking like it was like you're writing a book and you did all the fleet actions and the federations, and then it's like you turn the page and there's just like written in handwriting like, then Cisco throws Gold Dukat into a volcano and the Power Race are defeated, the end. And you're like, okay.
It really is that. And speaking of another Star Trek show that I remember a lot of people not liking the ending for was Enterprise's ending.
Oh,
because it's just fucking
they kill Trip.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck, and it's
like Riker's in a holodeck program.
Riker's watching history in a holodeck, and he's like, "Oh, that's neat." It's like, what's happening?
Yeah, it's like Riker's watching a TV show.
Yeah,
Riker's watching
Enterprise,
but he gets to be the barber. Like,
it's so strange.
It's really weird.
So fucking strange.
It's really strange.
But it's definitely like one of those like we didn't know what we just had to end it kind of thing, and this is where we ended up.
Yeah. Well, speaking of ending and wrapping things up, let's wrap up this episode of the Rage Select Podcast. Thanks, everybody, for writing in. We do need more questions. We always need more questions.
Yes.
MailRageSelect.com is the email address. It may take us a while, but we'll finally get to them. Check out more from Michael over at oneofus.net. And that's it. I still need a catchphrase. I gotta say, bye. Is that a catchphrase? Can I put a copyright on that? No, that's it. I own it now. Bye-bye. Bye.